everybody. I'm just doing one last thing before I actually show you the screen. Profiles, channel content, live, videos, live, reload that page, posts, players and podcasts. If I make a podcast, it'll most likely be about just podcasts about things that we think about talking about. No, one thing I hate that happened, Reason Labs installed itself on my PC without me wanting it to. So finally found how. Go into apps, RAV, then install both. There. Close window. Review. Music over. I am doing one thing before we start. Just want to check something. Miss you. Content, begin review. Oh, let's check the policies real quick, see what they have. It might be because of the title of that one. Yeah, it's the title of each title and then apply for a, what's it called? Apply for a, I'm trying to remember what it's called. Appeal. Ornaments, links, thumbnails. Oh, so cool. Alright now, dude. Most likely about language. It's vulgar language. I am gonna give it that. I am gonna go over here. I now finish your review. Mac, I'm gonna delete this. I am going to rename this. Edit. It's the title. I am going to rename it then. Restart. Save the change, and then I will run for appeal on this accessible for everybody. It's the title. Appeal. Appeal policy. Actually, studio mode, intermission, be right back. Loading street, yeah, studio mode, that's it, don't need it. I know what happened. I need to go back. I will need to exit. Huh. Okay. It automatically edited it. I think it automatically did it since the title changed. Yeah, it did. Okay. Never mind. Studio. So everything's fine now. Just want to get that done before I moved on. Excellent connection. And oh yeah. No playback. And yeah, sorry that.
Borderlands 1 was a f***ing vibe. I and many other people were hungry for stat-based RPG mechanics in first-person shooters, and you could tell because if you isolate the gunplay, this game is not very impressive, but it did numbers. I think it's cool how firefights end with no fanfare and resume the ambient, lonely guitar twangs. It's pretty atmospheric. The guns kind of felt and looked like toys, and the millions of guns that were advertised ultimately boiled down to a few dozen with a few variations on them, not counting the legendaries. Also, I loved how visceral this simple game felt with how often enemies explode. Super fun. You couldn't really get this kind of gameplay from anywhere else at the time, and it was obvious they didn't really know what they were doing. Nobody did. I still think they managed to leave some narrative breadcrumbs for some invested fans to follow, even if it led nowhere at the time. So what happened in Borderlands 1? The Vault Hunters flock to Pandora in search of a wacky surprise here. The Vault. There exists a legend that says anyone who opens it will be granted anything their heart desires from wealth, fame, and power. It's like the One Piece. The Vault Hunters, if they weren't born on Pandora, were greeted by a lawless desert of a planet, Regular citizens fear for their life and are rarely found outside of large hubs. They go where they can survive. Everyone else are likely part of different gangs on Pandora. They focus on their hedonistic lifestyle revolving around murder. There's not much gleaned from them in terms of character. These killers largely consist of prisoners and abandoned excavation workers employed by one of the several companies looking for the vault as an investment. Towards the end of the game, you are met with an officer from the Atlas Corporation who has been taunting you occasionally throughout the game. In a final confrontation, she herself opens the vault in front of the player, clearly expecting some sort of power to wash over her, but is instead skewered by a creature erupting from the vault that the vault hunters then destroy. Very standard, nothing too exciting. It's revealed that the vault is actually an ancient alien technology meant to seal the vault monster. That itself is pretty interesting, but we're also introduced to Tanis, who is a vault researcher employed by the Dahl Corporation. By the time the game takes place, Dahl has pulled their resources and abandoned their excavation sites. Tanis has some dark recordings you can find in a side mission that detail her descent into obsession. She gradually loses her humanity and common sense in search of the vaults and is the last researcher alive when we meet her. She comes across as unstable and lonely, given that her logs say she wanted to savor the last conversation with her colleague before she died, despite calling her fat girl Shanae in the very same log and noting that she didn't even like her.
76th day. I was woken up, hoping I was having a reoccurring nightmare.
Depressing stuff, and it shows the potential for storytelling in the setting of Pandora. That's not to say the game was devoid of humor.
Hey, you see my gun? Hey, you see my gun? Hey, you see my gun? Hey, you see my gun?
How can I help?
Hey, you see my gun?
Scooter's a hoot and holler
like
because he's
that.
constantly talking about how he wants to kill Lucky with his stereotypical hick accent. Like, look, he's just some dude sitting on a toilet, bro's chilling. You first meet Zed, the doctor, when he's nonchalantly carving up a dead body. Do it look like he give a fart? TK Baha is another one of the early characters you meet that likes to make jokes about how blind he is. He's my guy. He's my slime, bro.
Hey, thanks. I know it's rough out here, and a lot of people barely have time to help themselves, much less anybody else. Just know that your help means a whole lot. All right, see you soon. You don't get it, do you? Or it doesn't matter. Just come home back whenever you want.
There's some pretty dry and genuine humor in this that might get a chuckle out of you. I feel it won't make or break the experience for anyone, though. The humor is certainly not the focus of the game's writing. Borderlands 2 takes that hopeless and depressing atmosphere and says,
Man, fuck that shit. Dr. Pepper.
Pandora is no longer a desert without any resources. Now it has a tundra, volcanoes, toxic bogs, even a little bit of green here and there.
Oh,
wait,
yeah, they did
this will be a
expand it
good
then.
shot for the video.
You know how to disable the HUD, right?
Wait, is it a command in this game?
I think it's like F11.
Oh, F11.
It's one of the F keys, I want to
Oh!
say.
Well done. Oh well, F11.
It's one of the F keys.
Drops his high-level gun. Oh god, those are like okay stats. I don't know the limits of the stats in the game, but it's like good stats there. That wasn't a bad Borderlands game. I should get him.
Oh!
one of these
Drop my gun.
days.
Oh well. Much more variety in the environments. Builds are way more exciting and varied in their play styles. Weapons are way more distinct. The gunplay is very similar, but much more seamless. The story establishes so much in this entry as well. The main characters are the new wave of Vault Hunters attracted to Pandora by the call sent out by Handsome Jack, the unofficial ruler of Pandora by force and the president of Hyperion, to hunt the Vault for him. The Vault Hunters pretty quickly swerve from that and experience an assassination attempt via a bomb on a train. After that, you land on the tundra and are discovered and assisted by Claptrap, who is sent to dig up the crash site for
Oh,
loot.
by release date, this is the first game that you actually meet Claptrap. But there's at least a Claptrap unit. But there's I think the next game, and then there's two other games that feature him. I think. Which there is the new the Borderlands 3, I assume, has a Claptrap unit you can play with, or you play with. And then there's a Claptrap unit in prequel to the sequel, if you know what that is. It's set between 1 and 2, from what I assume. You can actually play as a Claptrap unit, funny enough.
After finding you, he tries to arm you and attempts to help him escape slavery. After this, the journey is set in motion, and it is just so much fun. Old Vault Hunters make appearances and are treated with immense respect, being placed in either positions of power or just legendary figures. Mordecai is reconnaissance for the Crimson Raiders and is the greatest sniper on the planet. Lilith acts as the Firehawk, a third party that keeps gangs in check and draws attention away from
one of the sirens, and actually one of the playable, yeah, pure Vault Hunter you can play as in the previous game. I really want to play the games.
Sanctuary. Roland is the leader of the Crimson Lance, who used to be employed by the Atlas Corporation before they went under for the massive damage suffered by the Vault Hunters. Brick is now the leader of a gang of his own and revels in the violence. He left the Crimson Raiders due to differing opinions. He was in favor of much more brutal methods of intel extraction.
Good news, everybody. I stole the drop bar. Hyperion was no match for my secret. Punch you in the face until you die, fighting style.
The new side characters are also a treat. Hammerlock is silly and eccentric, Ellie is a fat mechanic who's pretty chill and excited to help out, while Tiny Tina is literally and metaphorically an explosive child.
Hey, yeah. Little crazy. From what I hear of a backstory, because I did read one fanfic, she doesn't have a good backstory. If I remember correctly, there's a DLC actually going over a backstory. Why you should play that, sir?
Counting down. 10,
10, 9. I got bored. Yeah.
Neither of them are played seriously during their time in the main story, but that didn't work against them. They were used sparingly and to great effect. I wanted to know more about how Tina came to be alone. Hammerlock and Ellie always made some welcome appearances. Scooter the mechanic, his mom Moxie the sexy bartender, Zed the doctor, and Marcus the arms dealer set up shop in Sanctuary, the main hub of the game. By the way, I forgot to write it earlier, so I'm just going to say it right now. Borderlands 2 has my favorite hub town of any video game ever. I love Sanctuary. I love just chilling in Sanctuary with my buddies before we actually start playing Borderlands.
There's got a lot in Sanctuary.
Nah, bro, can't.
The fuck is you doing?
Gambling, bro.
You're gambling?
I'm grambling.
That's mine.
Look, man, 90% of gamblers quit right before they hit big.
Oh! Tennis is also back. She's true to her original counterpart, insulting to others, scared of interactions, yet a slight hint of loneliness in her ramblings. She also adopted a coping mechanism of personification to give herself someone to talk to. It happened while she was captured and being tortured in between the events of 1 and 2 by Handsome Jack's men for the sake of intel on vaults. She was tortured in between the events of 1 and 2 by Handsome Jack's men for the sake of
Probably in Pico's sequel, because it is in between 1 and 2, from I know chronologically in the game. 7 at least. I really want to play it.
Intel on vaults. She was rescued and is now protected within Sanctuary. Again, these characters don't overstay their welcome. It makes me want to get to know more about them in their side missions. It's great how they set up intrigue to get you to play more of the content. Tennis discovers that Handsome Jack has been charging the vault key during the story to awaken the Warrior, a monster sealed by the vault. Throughout the story, Handsome Jack taunts you, constantly getting the better of you till about halfway through the game. You find out that the guiding voice from Borderlands 1 is Angel, Handsome Jack's daughter.
And another siren, like Lilith.
You find out when she finally betrays you to allow for Handsome Jack to breach the Sanctuary shields and destroy it. After that, she starts acting on her own, helping you find her to get the key to the new vault. After making it through the defenses, you meet Angel and find out she's a siren and has been used to charge the key. After killing her, Handsome Jack shows up himself to kill you. In a few swift movements, he kills Roland from behind, captures Lilith with the same technology that kept Angel subdued, and would have killed you if Lilith hadn't teleported you back to Sanctuary. With Lilith's powers, he's able to charge the key to completion. Once you confront him, the Warrior awakens, and after killing the Warrior, you kill Jack. Before you do, you can see just how delusional he was. To the very end, he believed he was the hero, believed he was entitled to the power in the vault, and was unstable in his justification to himself. Justification for killing an entire planet of people.
No, I can't. I like this. Not when I'm so close. And not at the hands of a filthy bandit!
Not bad.
See, I could have saved this planet. See, I could have actually restored order. wasn't supposed to die by the hands of a child-killing psychopath!
Child-killing psychopath. Just take a look at yourself.
You're a savage. You're a maniac. You are a bandit, and I am the goddamn hero!
I wanted to shot him after the child-killing psychopath. That looks like using a shotgun. I just shot him in the chest or the head.
The warrior was practically a god. How? How in the hell have you killed my warrior?
Shut up, bitch! He's a frustrating and confusing character, but definitely memorable for how oddly he behaved. Borderlands 2 was a great game. It didn't take itself seriously, but when it did, I really felt it. I think this was mainly done by using side characters and humor at appropriate times. Serious moments were given time to breathe. This game was certainly more lighthearted than the first, but that didn't prevent me from getting attached to these characters and appreciating the amount of lore provided for small characters, other planets, companies, and locations. This game also inspired me artistically. I really want to make a story involving a Mad Max style setting and sci-fi level technology and dystopic corporate rule. I've been doodling in my notebooks for years since. I'll probably write a book someday if I feel like I can actually form something coherent. I don't even think this game is a masterpiece, but it inspired me. And this is all because of my intense obsession with Borderlands as a 13-year-old. I realize it's not perfect and that not everyone will like the humor, the story, or even the gameplay, but it's got a seriously special place in my heart. Borderlands 2 killed what Borderlands was and made something super fun. Ooh, Borderlands 3, I was excited, dude. I saw the reveal trailer, cool concept for the next villains, awesome playable character designs, the gameplay looks like Borderlands but even more modern. I was ready, dude, and what did I think of it? It was alright. It was pretty good, actually. Overall, I really enjoyed it, and I had a great time during the first playthrough. I thought it was seriously lacking in endgame content, though. I mean, all there was to do was collect guns, and after a while it felt meaningless before they actually added some tough bosses. Something to actually use your cool weapons on. Oh, but the presentation. Oh, the environments were drop dead gorgeous. Obviously not the peak of graphical fidelity, but designed in such a way that makes everywhere you walk a work of art. The monster designs were fucking sick. The gun models make a lot of what you collect feel unique to one another. And the sound effects, dude, these might be the greatest gun sounds of all time in any game ever. Everything's got a kick to it. Sometimes I'd be reloading just to hear what the weapons sound like, because they all look spot on for how they sound. It also adds a weight to the weapon in my head.
That gun's design. It's weird as fuck.
I feel like I know how.
Rotary assault rifle. That's what that really is, a rotary assault rifle.
They would feel in my hands. All artists who work on this. Good
Only
lord.
the bell doesn't look like it actually has a rotating breach or somebody. Only when breached by rotating bells. That would not really work. And most rotary weapons, like rotary cannons and rotary guns, they have a whole bell breach assembly that rotates, depending the amount of bells as a breach for each bell. For example, in the on the M134, from what I remember, it has 6 bells, so it has 6 breach assemblies. Each breach, actually I don't think it's fire rate, but each bell and breach assembly fires 1/6 of the rate of the whole entire weapon, but that's still pretty high. So that's why they have it like that. So the weapon can cool, each bell and the breach assembly can be cooled down properly. It will reduce the wear on the weapon because of the fire rate. It may be a pain in the ass to maintain, but probably is better long run. Oh, Gary, same thing. M61, same thing. Yeah.
You're fucking crap. You're so good. It's so cool, dude. If I was just talking about the gameplay, this video would end on a pretty positive note. I ain't though. So the praise stops here. The story sucks, dude. Plain and simple. Sorry. Well, you know what? That's a bit too harsh. Now that I've played it again, far removed from my original thoughts and expectations, I can feel like I can form a proper opinion on it now. So, what happened in Borderlands 3. I don't think you need to be tied down to previous entries to make a good sequel. As established before, Borderlands 2 took the games in a new direction, and I believe it was for the
That class has just shown. I remember playing them a lot, actually. I think I preferred that
better.
class.
Borderlands 3 just
I'll have to play
abandons
the
some
time.
characters' original intentions, makes strange decisions narratively, and sacrifices good moments of tension for the sake of jokes. It's hard to sit through if you were ever invested in the game series. I'm not kidding when I say I like to turn off the dialogue in new playthroughs,
You know, that makes me think of Titanfall right there.
so I'm just left with a fantastic game
And
series.
there's a
I'm not
drift
kidding
function.
when I say I like to turn off the dialogue in new playthroughs, so I'm just left with a
It really makes me think of Titanfall. I should play it on stream one time. I do have the Nostra client, so I can run modded.
fantastic gameplay and art direction. The story itself is relatively simple, but pretty wordy, so strap in. The Calypso twins, who have siren powers, have started weaponizing the aimless... Pretty wordy, so
Right,
strap in. The Calypso twins, who have
He has... Have that sound to only female?
siren powers, have started weaponizing the aimless psychos on Pandora by forming a cult and using online entertainment like streaming and videos. Cool concept, I think. The new generation of Vault Hunters are recruited to help defend the Crimson Lance and Sanctuary 3, which is now a traveling spaceship. Sanctuary got destroyed in a DLC created in preparation for Borderlands 3, just so you know if you didn't. Before Sanctuary 3's first takeoff, it is assaulted by the Children of the Vault, the aforementioned cult where the leaders, the twins, reveal their powers of sapping others' life force by taking Lilith's powers. The main characters are tasked with collecting the power from all vaults before the twins are allowed to seize them. Maya and her to-be siren apprentice Ava are picked up to help with the vault in Promethea, a planet controlled by the character Reese's company, the newly revived Atlas Corporation. Promethea is being assaulted by the Maliwan Corporation for the up-and-comers' assets before they have more power to resist. After killing the president of Maliwan and meeting up with Zero and Reese, you make your way to the vault Reese has kept hidden from the Vault Hunters to ensure their help. There, Maya assists you with the vault monsters sealed inside before Ava makes herself known. She tagged along. Ava's intrusion causes a moment of weakness for Maya, and the twins use this to absorb her powers and even her physical form, turning her to dust. After this, they solve a deadly family dispute and wrestle for power with the largest company on Eden 6, the Jacobs Company. The Jacobs family then allows them entry into the vaults as thanks, where it is defeated and the twins take advantage of the situation once again by capturing Tanis, the Crimson Lance's vault researcher. After fighting through where she's held captive on Pandora, she reveals herself to be a siren who inherited Angel's powers. We also find out powers can be passed on to be a
Huh. I'm definitely gonna have to watch
siren
this.
who inherited Angel's powers. We also find out powers can be passed on to a chosen vessel because of this. Tanis warns that the twins are now capable of opening the vault they've had their eyes on the entire time, which is just the entire planet of Pandora. After killing Troy while Tyreen opens the vault, Tyreen then absorbs her brother's power and is far more powerful than before. Ava finds she's inherited Maya's powers after Troy's death and finally becomes a siren like she was being trained for. Tyreen escapes. As the Great Vault begins its opening, the main cast is contacted by the first Vault Hunter, Typhon de Leon, which happens to be the twins' dads. There, we discover that he restricted their lives to protect them since they're sirens, which explains their lust for power and attention. On this planet of Necrotafeo, he mentions that the ancient alien civilizations developed the vaults as prisons, and he can use them to reseal the waking vault monster from the planet they're standing on, Necrotafeo. Tyreen appears, kills him, and makes her way back to Pandora to absorb the power of the vault monster. After this, she is killed by the new Vault Hunters, but it doesn't stop the destruction of Pandora. Lilith uses her reclaim powers from Tyreen's death to reseal the vault and prevent the destruction of the planet after passing on the Crimson Raiders to Ava. This act presumably kills her. The remaining characters bask in the glow of the sacrifice. Those are some long-ass spark notes, I'm sorry about that, but I feel like it was important. I don't think it's a bad outline for a story.
I really want to play them now. That actually seems kind of interesting. Twist upon the old, there are some changes. I really want to play Borderlands 1, 2, and 3 now. The only thing I remember having Borderlands on is on the Xbox. I'm not sure if I can actually get that streaming properly on the Xbox.
I absolutely think that this could have been accomplished in an interesting way, but the execution failed horribly for me. Like I mentioned before, the game is all too willing to sacrifice tension for a joke. I replayed the game recently to better understand my feelings on this, and honestly, it's not as bad as I remember. But there are some moments that still feel terrible to watch.
Go, 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 go! Siren light! Shut up! Die!
For lack of a better, more polite term. After Maya's death, the cast just stand around, and Tannis is written to treat her death like it meant nothing.
When she was alive, I preferred her that way. That didn't come out right, but she's gone, and that's how it is. All we can do is fight to honor her memory the best.
Huh. There is.
We
Tannis
can.
is fucked up in the
People
head.
die in wars by the droves. I mean, open your eyes, people. Don't ask me to speak at your funeral, Lilith.
It doesn't mean anything. It shouldn't mean nothing. For as cold as Tannis appears to be, she's always appreciated those around her and expresses her loneliness and isolation on occasion. If you were as deep into the Borderlands lore as me as a creepy teenager, you'd know that Tannis had a little crush on Maya. I didn't expect them to remember that with all the writers coming in and all, but to just have her disregard that death just felt like a betrayal, and it doesn't allow the moment any time to breathe. One of the best things that Borderlands 2 did after a death was prevent fast travel. You had to take your time and walk back to wherever you needed to go. You had to wander through Marcus's stockroom when you got teleported after Roland's death.
What happened? What the hell just happened? First Bloodwing, now this? Ball Hunter, find me a sanctuary. We gotta get Lilith back.
It was quiet. There was even a mission where you could inform the residents of Sanctuary of Roland's death, too. It was really interesting to hear these larger-than-life characters grapple with mortality. Here it's just right back to business after a shit little eulogy and barely anybody saying anything. There was a deleted scene I feel would have brought a lot together for people that was supposed to take place after Maya's death. Tannis starts her little speculation dump and Lilith basically tells her to shut up, which is super fair for the moment. Ava doesn't shoot blame towards Lilith like in the release game, she just kind of wallows in her sorrow. There's also some background characters just standing, which would have added a lot to the feeling that Sanctuary 3 doesn't have just like 6 people on it. This is a side tangent, by the way. It feels like Lilith is the leader of the Crimson Raiders for no fucking reason, because we don't hear anything from the people on board ever, or even receive a mission from them, aside from this silly dinosaur. It's funny. Please laugh. I don't know why I'm shit-talking Maurice like that. Maurice is my guy, man.
Maurice is shatteringly honored to be aboard the Sanctuary.
I love you. Mwah. The crew later stands by the fire and mourns the loss of Maya as Ava looks on from above, perched on a ledge. Ava puts blame on herself instead of the characters we all know and are already attached to, like in the base game. Ava even says Maya wasted her life on her. It's a much more down-to-earth way to get to know Ava than the side mission that actually came with the base game. I don't feel like getting into it over that, you know, it was trying too hard to be funny and was just boring. Lilith even relates her experiences to Ava by alluding to Roland's death and reveals that she believes she's to blame for it. Not only does this warm me to Ava and put some things into perspective, Lilith gets some profound development here as well. They sit in silence and watch as the characters pay tribute to Maya before resolving to go to Eden Sinks. If this scene were in the game, I could forgive every cringy thing that Ava said. Ava's a kid with no friends. Of course she's gonna be weird and say stupid shit to someone.
I can open this tomb up no sweat. What you got, tomb? You got nothing.
I think she was intentionally written annoying to hammer that home. I don't know what happened though. Some people believe the scene was drawn after the game was made to calm people about the writers on staff, but I think it fits the narrative too perfectly not to be a part of the original planning phase. This little bit here would have made the characters much more understandable. And while I don't think it would have justified...
I actually don't understand what the fuck is happening with writing for games nowadays. Like, I like some... I haven't played Halo, at least some of the older Halos in a long time, but Halo Reach is pretty good. Halo, the first Halo's okay, it's been a while since I played it. The writing's okay, the gameplay's fun. From what I hear, and from what I remember actually, when I played it, the Magnum was pretty powerful in the first Halo game. If I remember correctly, they fixed that in the anniversary version though. So yeah.
Lilith literally passing on the...
Actually, one game I really remember playing a lot, the first version, Titanfall. The first Titanfall. I remember getting it. There's still some... When I was playing it, which was around 2017 from I remember, I played it. There's still people on the servers, there's still people playing it. Enough for me to have fun and get up to level 30. So yeah. Actually it was pretty fun then. But yeah. Started dying. I got the new Titanfall. Started playing that. And then the new Titanfall started dying out. Now there's North Star, which is actually quite a bit well, a few hundred players on there. But enough for you to have some fun. Especially if the mods. And the new game modes North Star introduces into it. Pretty fun, I'd say. Those are.
Crimson Raiders to Ava, some kid, it would have made me appreciate the sentiment, if only a little more. Also, what's with this Marvel movie-ass shot here of her flying into the fucking moon to sacrifice herself?
That is like Marvel.
Tannis is like, what's she doing? She's gonna kill herself! And Ava's like, she knows. Eyes sparked with inspiration, smile on her face, looking towards the sky like, shut up, dude! You didn't earn that! You just lashed out at Lilith when you got Maya killed, and you didn't even appear to be sorry! You inherited her powers and did nothing with them! Oh, it did not help that she had some cringy 13-year-old energy as well. Always trying to crack a joke. Borderlands doesn't have to be the most serious thing ever. It wasn't from the beginning, but characters, Vaughn, Reese, Ava, they represent the opposite end of the spectrum that's just embarrassing to listen to. I feel ashamed for having purchased this at some points, dude. Like, I should have waited for a sale. What's weird is that I don't think that the writers are incapable of writing something at least serviceable. All of the DLC dealt with new and old characters with some pretty cool moments. Hell, most of Bounty of Blood was played pretty straight, and I thought it was pretty good. Neat setting, simple story, cool villain. I know I'm not alone in that sentiment either. I heard one of my friends say that the game was just too woke and it panders too hard. My immediate reaction was like, to who? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Borderlands already had a lot of women, gays, gay women. I pressed him on it and he was like, I don't know, dude, it was just woke. Another friend of mine explained the thought process a little better. All of the male characters were stuffed to the side and shown to be incompetent, while the women characters were made to be much better by comparison. I don't even think that fucking matters. Ava was meant to be a character you root for, but with blatant flaws written into her character too. Lilith was always like this. It doesn't outright say it in Borderlands 3, but she's not a perfect leader since the role was kind of thrusted onto her. She's trying to live up to Roland. Ellie doesn't have too much responsibility outside of her engineer duties. She was always just a big bitch chillin'. She's honoring Scooter's memory by taking up his position. Tannis always played a huge part in the games, and I think the writers just really liked her and wanted a more prominent amount of dialogue for her, and made a very strange decision of having Angel pass on her powers to her. I think it would have made a lot more sense to pass it on to Gage, dude. A technopathy ability given to a literal technomancer? That's her class name. God, it would have been so perfect, dude. Plus, Angel was directly talking to her throughout most of Borderlands 2. I don't know. It was just fucking odd, dude. As for the male characters, Marcus is still Marcus. Opportunist, capitalist, kind of a dick. They fucking bastardized Vaughn and Reese, though. Because I played and adored the original Tales from the Borderlands, I'm not sure what I dislike more, their dialogue in this game or Ava's inclusion. They just took what they thought was funny about Vaughn and turned him into a caricature.
Come on, let's get out of here. I'll lead the way, even though I'm totally unarmed. Can't let them know you're afraid and totally defenseless, bro. Bandit life!
He was elected leader in Tales from the Borderlands by the people of the crashed Hyperion ship for his knowledge of Pandora and familiarity with their nightmare corporate hellscape culture. He was crafty, dependable, chill, and just a kind dude. He was also a massive nerd and adrenaline junkie by the end of the game, and that's all he is in the new game. Literally in his underwear, wandering around like a fucking dumbass. I have no idea why they took his character there. Just look at Vaughn in the final chapter of Tales. Look at him! He's my friend. Reese was always a pretty goofy individual, but he was intentional with his business decisions. He was compassionate towards his friends and understood others in a place of work. He also became way more accustomed to life-threatening situations by the end of the story. A silly, but ultimately reliable force for good.
Blow his mind.
Or break his heart.
What do these mean?
They mean what you think they mean.
And let you leave with that, pal.
Oh no? And what are you gonna do about it? Yeah, that's what I thought.
What? What? What the fuck?
Looks like he had a change of heart.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I was like, that has to be something. Holy shit.
Telling a story.
That's super fun.
In the new game, he's just coincidentally the head of a company. constantly fumbling in dealings with others. It would have been fine for Maliwan to have more firepower than Atlas and need help from the Vault Hunters, but he just acted so desperate. I feel like he would have been past that at this point, you know, since he's in the middle of a war with Maliwan. He's also far too concerned.
Moment. Hello. Well, if you didn't know, we have 2 dogs in my place. This is one of them. Kylo. A 2 years old. He's a Shih Tzu Terrier mix. If I remember. Actually, no. Okay, look at the stream. Look at the stream. Anyway. No. Hello. Let's see how you do up on my bed. You like the attention? You like the attention? Sorry, dog bite. Like the attention? We don't but out. Moment. Let me just show you guys real quick. Hello. Yes, I know. I know. Yeah. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. Let me get this out the way. Yes, I know. Yeah, you're saying behind him is a very collection of Lego creations I made. Moment. Let me get this back up in place. I should either stream Cyberpunk or a few other games I have soon. One of these days. Yeah. You like it? Hang on. You like this? You like this? Just want to say hi to him. Sorry, just want to do a quick dog break.
Concerned about a fucking frozen yogurt stand.
Say goodbye to your favorite Frogurt stand.
Fuck? Jesus. Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck is wrong?
Every line with him was just joke after joke after joke. It was agonizing. He literally doesn't believe his dying men as they're being slashed to pieces by what they assume to be Zero.
Feeling it! Reese, it looks like Zero murdered all the defense personnel.
No. Zero's loyalty is not in question. Wherever he is, he must have a good reason. You just focus on kicking out Malawan. You're in the lobby. We're going to hold them off from... What? Zero? What are you... Soldier, don't you dare use your last words to slander Zero. Say you're being murdered by someone else. My Superman. Oh, come on!
It doesn't create an internal struggle in him like, oh no, did I make the wrong decision and jeopardize my men's safety? That's supposed to be his defining feature against his corporate rivals, and the reason we don't want to kill him as opposed to any other corporate leader. He's supposed to care about his workers. It's just desperation to fill dead air with laughter. I would have preferred dead air, honestly. I really don't think this is some woke agenda, or whatever the fart you want to call it. Just a misunderstanding of what made certain characters great, and a questionable final execution of some neat ideas. I have just been rambling, dude. Sorry about
I
that.
hate
Borderlands
when game
used to mean a lot
developers
to
do
me. It was that one hyperfixation I had growing up. I was just super disappointed that they got the writing wrong for the third game.
Honestly, the new Halos by 343, they could have done it better. I kind of like the story, but they could have done shit way better. I like how they, in 5, they gave you sprints automatically. It was an armor ability, but they got rid of the fucking armor abilities. In 5, they only gave you a fucking boost. They should give you armor abilities. Or your thruster pack, whatever you want to call it. That's one of the good things about the game, but no, they decided to, no, fuck it, get rid of armor abilities, use thruster pack instead. Put in thruster pack, nothing else. I like the direction they kind of went in the new Halo though. Gun done, and Infinite, but yeah. I like the direction they took of it.
I know that art is subjective, but nah, they got it wrong, bro. This shit is incorrect, man. Fuck. If I were to take elements of the story and do something with it to make it more palatable to me, I would take out a ton of jokes first. Eventually, you know, this stuff is just white noise. I would turn the mission involving Ice-T's silly little robot character and make it a side quest. I skipped that bit in the briefing because it doesn't matter at all. I'm not kidding, by the way. If you haven't played Borderlands, the rapper Ice-T was a character in the main story of Borderlands 3, and it went on for a fucking while.
Cram it, Genevieve. I got a friend now. We're here for the key fragment. I know you got it in the security hole.
He's an AI in a bear. If you got a bunch of comedy bits you'd like to do like that, you know, I'd definitely save that for a side quest. There was also a main mission with a character named Clay, too. Not really worth mentioning. Should have been a side mission, too. I'd probably try to make an effort to have the Calypso Twins EchoNet content be a little bit more entertaining, too, rather than cynically taking the concept of an internet celebrity and printing it onto a villain. All their content was just dumb. Look at this.
Hey! Yo! Looks like we interrupted your sad times. Here, maybe this will cheer you up. Right?
okay.
It's meant to be a video that they show off after killing Maya and like rally support. Maybe the point was to get me to hate them, but it just looks too lame. It also feels kind of mean-spirited towards what people actually enjoy about online content creators. It was also a missed opportunity to talk about parasocial relationships as well, a relatively hot topic in this new age of internet entertainment. I would have tried to expand a bit more on the psychology behind the twins and their growing need for the universe to acknowledge them and their existence because of their total isolation. It's a relatable plot point for lots of people today. Maybe show off their childhood bedrooms too. I feel like that would have been pretty interesting. There was also the growing little feud between the twins that was left unexplored. I thought it would have been really cool to see Troy betray Tyreen once he finally got enough power to stand up for himself, because it really felt like he was living in her shadow. Their dynamic always seemed like a thing where they were both pulling for dominance once Troy got some agency in his own.
Is awesome. We haven't really had a chance to get to know each other, huh? And Ty's been doing most of the talking. She does that, right? She's the center of the galaxy, and the rest of us just sort of orbit around her. You know, Tyreen says we should let you keep playing along. Yeah, a little competition gets our followers all riled up. But I'm not one of them. No, not anymore. I'm done getting table scraps.
Also, this is a vague criticism and not very constructive, sorry, but they just didn't feel super threatening. I'm not sure what I would have done to make their presence more felt. Oh yeah, and turn Reese and Vaughn back into who they actually are. These might as well be completely different characters. It just upset me to hear them talk at all. Take away a few dozen lines from Tannis to reduce her role. That character is kind of grating after extended periods of time.
A minecart called Kate. She will show you the way. Deep and tumultuous affair that ended when our tracks went separate ways, as they say.
Tannis! What the fuck?
Just trust me on this one. Oh, shut up, Kate. Barkids! Destroy them! If those things get into my lab, they could damage my precious equipment.
She does race under range in this footage.
Thank you, Kate. We'll catch up soon. Now, Vault Hunter, the entrance is just down that corridor. You are nearly there.
Speaking of Tannis's...
You do that? Okay, never mind. Wanna go for a walk?
Yep, I was thinking to do it later.
Alright.
Different. I'm on.
You
Yeah.
can have it, okay?
I know. That bad timing. Thinking a little bit later.
Role.
Just
This is
like
probably way too much to change, but I would have made Gage the next Angel Siren. Just saying. The Jacobs family plotline was really straightforward. I would try to make an effort to condense the missions and map of Eden 6 a bit more. Give the B team a bigger role too, or just way more side missions, because they were the coolest characters in 2. They're still cool. You barely used them, dude. Come on, it feels like they were included out of necessity. And finally, that Ava scene. If it was included, it would have made the character mean a lot more to the audience, or it would have meant a lot more to me, at least. I know there's an issue of how the COV came to power and how it seems like Lilith was doing absolutely nothing. I probably would have tried to make that make a little more sense. Regardless of what I think, a story with plot holes can still be great with good character writing. Unfortunately, Borderlands 3 did not deliver on that for me. Borderlands was killed once again, and it'll never have that thoughtful character writing and lore that I loved to follow. That's pretty evident in the release of the new Tales from the Borderlands, which just spurred the scene, to me at least. I know there's an issue of how the COV came to power and how it seems like Lilith was doing absolutely nothing. I probably would have tried to make that make a little more sense. Regardless of what I think, a story with plot holes can still be great with good character writing. Unfortunately, Borderlands 3 did not deliver on that for me. Borderlands was killed once again, and it'll never have that thoughtful character writing and lore that I loved to follow. That's pretty evident in the release of the new Tales from the Borderlands, which just spits in the face of everything the series accomplished with its writing, choosing to view itself as a sitcom. That's a real quote from one of the writers. It also tramples over the fantastic groundwork laid by Tales 1, which felt like a celebration of Borderlands and kind of...
So, remix of Phil Collins in the air tonight. Bayou Boogie. It said the title of the
the
song.
exact fan fiction I would have thought about when I was 13, except way better than I could have ever done. There is one thing that all the mainline Borderlands games still share, no matter what. The actual environments and music accompanying them fucking bang. Borderlands 3's writing kind of sucks, but when you turn off the dialogue and just look at the world around you and these locations, you get a feel for what this game could be. Just exist with me for a second in these places. Shit about Borderlands games are only getting better, bigger, brighter, sleeker, faster. Maybe you don't give a shit about anything I mentioned and just enjoy the games for what it did right. But I really care about the atmosphere, the vibe. I hope Borderlands hasn't lost that forever. That's all I really got. This kind of just turned into a rant, and I apologize, but maybe you're into that sort of thing. Maybe you feel like me about it, or you haven't ever played one, but you feel like hearing a long-ass video on something you'll never care about. I've been there, dude. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'm Frogwater. If you want more Borderlands stuff from me, I have a low...
And history of the signs and stuff. I'm probably going to... New tab. Ambient mode. Auto.
What's going on, guys?
Huh? Maybe. There. Yeah. Jesus. Of course, Drakengard. I might save this all. You know what? I might just have this all into streaming because I kind of want to go over some of that video with you. Kind of want to watch it with you. It's gonna be a long time, but yeah, probably gonna be interesting. No, maybe. No? New window. I'm gonna shove this window in. The fuck this window is here for? So stream. So stream, I'm going to shove these. There. Speed dial. This is so fucking finicky right now. This is annoying. I wish there was a... this is a good platform though, I like it. Social customization options. There. There. That's probably gonna be last. These two are most likely gonna be last. Nah. This is Mr. American. There. New tab. Oh yeah. Rainman Ray. If you've seen any of his content, I actually like it a lot. There.
To most people in Boston.
Hello,
Of course, this.
everybody. Good day to you. Welcome back.
That's not 480. What the fuck? There. I'm only run 720, but 480 is what I have to do with the streaming.
To most people.
Nah. Nah. Good. Some games, all sides.
Guys, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing every siren in the history of Borderlands that we know so far. I'm going to be going over every character that we know who is or was a siren, as well as what their powers were, along with a brief history of their character, mainly if it's relevant to the topic of sirens. Now, even to this day, the sirens' purpose and origin all remain a mystery. We don't know where they came from, why they exist, or what their purpose is to serve. What we do know is that there are apparently 7 sirens in existence at any given moment. Only women are eligible to inherit the powers.
Only women eligible. The fucking guy. The fucking guy is
Except under very unique circumstances.
Oh.
And you can tell a siren by the tattoos that appear along their left arm and body, which show up once they've inherited the powers. While commonalities such as these are all shared across each siren, individually they have their own special power, 5 of which we are aware of. I'll split this video into segments by what character had what power, so I won't be jumping all over the place. But first we should establish what each of their powers have in common. There seems to be set abilities that every siren is capable of. One of the most visual, but not often used, are their wings. A siren, when they activate their powers, blooms wings behind them. We've seen this with Lilith, Tannis, and Angel. Amara has a design which resembles wings, but we've yet to see actual wings from her. Sirens have shown the ability to fly with their wings, though it's something they don't do very often. Another ability sirens seem to share is telepathy. They are able to enter the minds of someone and communicate with them from a great distance. I'm not too sure how it works because Lilith, for example, began communicating with Zane, Amara, Mose, and Flack before she ever met them. They agreed to join the Crimson Raiders and Marcus picked them up, but somehow Lilith was able to mentally communicate with them just like that. Tannis and Angel have shown this ability as well to do the same, so I wouldn't see why the other sirens couldn't communicate via telepathy as well, so long as they put in the practice. This other ability I feel I can only describe as siren energy. It might sound weird. Of course all sirens have siren energy, but up until Borderlands 3, we'd never really seen sirens do much outside of their core ability. But in Borderlands 3, when Lilith and Tyreen are fighting, we see not either of their siren powers being used, but they're blasting each other with energy beams. They both have this default power that they're using on each other, and it extends even past this moment as well. Tyreen also exhibits a force push. I don't know where this comes from, and it certainly doesn't seem like an ability that would be solely tied to her and her powers. It's kind of weird, to be honest. But we can only imagine that there is a set of Siren abilities that all of them can use, these offensive attacks being some of them. Every Siren also seems to be connected via their memories. A Siren can know of others from the past without any knowledge about them whatsoever. This has only been vaguely touched upon, but it has been established that Sirens can be aware of those who came before them, no matter how long ago. But no one we know has mastered this technique. Another side note about the powers is that they're ever evolving. I don't believe the core of what the power is will ever change based on the time gap between some of these Sirens, but what one is capable of with these powers may add new, smaller quirks over time in addition to their power. Something else Sirens can do is imbue their memories and thoughts into objects. Most of the time they are very eventful or traumatic milestones in someone's life, but that may be due to a lack of mastery. The older and wiser a Siren is with their power, imprinting thoughts into an object may be more of a skill, not reliant on highly emotional moments that accidentally do it. Sirens also have some kind of connection to Iridium. Their correlation is still unknown, but for whatever reason, this element is like a steroid to them. They can absorb it into their bodies and their powers become vastly more powerful. On it, they can regenerate their bodies at superhuman speed. But with such power comes real danger. Iridium is highly addictive to Sirens if used too much. An over-reliance on it can be detrimental to one's natural existence as their bodies become dependent, lest risk death. And finally, the last thing all Sirens have in common is their free will. As we learned in the Director's Cut DLC for Borderlands 3, a Guardian known as the Seer was effectively responsible for the game's entire plot. It wanted Pandora to be opened, it wanted the Destroyer to be free, but it also wanted the Sirens dead. The reason for its grudge and motivation are unknown. But the Seer had to manipulate and control a bunch of humans that surrounded the characters in the story in order to get its outcome because it couldn't influence the Sirens who were leads in both factions. According to the Seer, they are unpredictable, they cannot be swayed in their decisions, and they don't know what their next actions are going to be. To this extent, Sirens appear to have true free will to shape the course of history for the better or for the worse. Anyway, I suppose we should finally get to the actual Sirens themselves. So let's start with the oldest Siren we are aware of, Nereid. While no images of what she looked like currently exist, her power was the currently nicknamed Phase Leech. As the name would imply, she was able to absorb the life force and energy of living creatures to use for herself. By absorbing living organisms, she could become much stronger than she naturally was.
You know, that would be an interesting world or crossover between this and Cyberpunk. There are similarities with the corporations. That's Cyber would probably be interesting working with the sign abilities if you assign enough Cyber installed. Oh, imagine how powerful some of the Cyber would be. The Stand would be very powerful. The Mantis Blades almost like it would be very powerful, especially if we could upgrade them. Because, having concealed blades, having maybe the arm launcher, though it might not be as powerful depending on the ammunition you use for it and the strength of it. Actually, with ammunition I can take in all guns features, facts. Kirzhnikov could be better, or could actually be better, or help a lot. From what I understand, and from what I know, the Kirzhnikov's depicted weirdly in the Cyberpunk video game. From what I understand, the Kirzhnikov is supposed to be basically a perception speed up, cyberware. It's apparently supposed to increase your nerve signal speed and help you react faster. It's just generally supposed to increase reaction time, and like the scientific stands, high ranking scientific stands like the Mark 5s and stuff. I didn't fucking ping you by Pixie. I have my phone here in case I need it, since it's kind of hard sometimes to hear. I can feel the vibrations, or to see it vibrate, but yeah, that's weird. By Pixie just pinged up. That back what I was saying, it appears in the game, the Kuznetsov in Cyberpunk 2077 is really depicted, that I understand, compared to its lore. It's Cyberpunk tabletop RPG lore. Cyberpunk 2020, Cyberpunk Red. Yeah. But apparently it's supposed to speed up people's reception times in the actual Cyberpunk lore, from what I remember. I'm not sure it's correct, because I only know it because of a fan fiction. It may just be head canon from the writer, but if it is head canon, it seems a pretty smart idea, because Kuznetsov and Sanderson are supposed to be both reaction time increasing. I'm making Sandy's supposed to actually manipulate time. Supposed to be able to slow everything around you, or increase your speed, your character speed a lot. And that's you actually increase, decrease the time around you, increase the amount of time inside, on you, whatever you want to say it. But yeah, that's what high level Sandys are supposed to do. I understand that high level Sandys should be pretty taxing. Your body's not meant for those kind of stresses put up on it. Same thing with high level Kuznetsovs. Well, you could probably just have cyberware too. You could probably have augments, augmented cyberwitch from the same fanfic. The main character Kuznetsov, and in order for her body to stand, that is the just put up on her body. She had bone augmentations, she had muscle augmentations. I don't understand why you get those. I'd actually get those myself in generally as well. And get a base set of bone augments and muscle augments, skin augments, all that kind of neat stuff. I'd make sure it would be easy to repair by myself or Ripperdoc. Then I would try and design my own, honestly. Because it honestly kind of like the idea of the mantis blades and the arm launcher, but I honestly think they're executed not the best, especially how much space they take up and how they basically replace a whole chunk of the arm for one thing. How I'd do is I'd compact it, make it reliable and very compact. I don't care if the strength's reduced a little or the range is reduced, but I'd compact both those, and I'd make it to where you could have a multi-purpose bay in your arm that you could open up, and you can select between like 2 or 3 different arm cyberwares. For example, between mantis blade, arm launcher, or if you want to get this advanced, probably I myself, if I had that, I'd have 3 options both arms. The 2 options on both arms are going to be the same. It's just going to be arm launcher and mantis blade in both. But the last option, my right would be a grappling hook, left would be a high-level scanning tool, actually, myself. I think that'd honestly be best, because I didn't see myself grappling a lot, or using grappling hook on my left arm in there. It would be very weird, considering it's my offhand. It's just weird sticking it out. It's not easy to aim with my main hand than my offhand. Though, at least a grappling hook, offhand would be used closer for either the rocket launchers, but yeah, just speculation stuff. I should probably get back to it.
But she could also divert this energy outwards if she wanted, acting as a sort of conduit. The latter example is the most relevant to her character, as she lived alongside the Iridian species, the ancient alien race whose technology practically scatters the entire universe and that which most things seem to revolve around. In modern day, they are extinct, but that's solely thanks to Nereid. The Iridians had discovered the Destroyer and saw it the ultimate threat to existence. If left unchecked, it would destroy everything. So they made a cage to stop it, Pandora. But with such a powerful, potentially immortal monster, it wasn't as simple as stuffing it under some rock. The Iridians' cage needed lives, sacrifices to help strengthen the bond that would chain down the Destroyer so it could never move once trapped. And this is where Nereid comes in. She was sought out for her power directly, where she witnessed and learned all about the Iridian civilization and people. She ultimately agreed to help them with their plan, and the entire Iridian species were used as bait to lure in the Destroyer towards Pandora. Once the Destroyer was close enough, Nereid leached the entire Iridian species as requested and used their power to lock the Destroyer in Pandora. She was mystified by everything, and while their plan had worked, she wound up having a strong sense of survivor's guilt. While it never quite felt like her responsibility to stop the Destroyer like the Iridians, she did just single-handedly wipe out an entire race of people, a powerful one at that. She saw her powers as dangerous, too dangerous to just allow existing. So she tried to stop her powers from passing on to another host. She took a gamble and locked herself in a vault where she would spend out the rest of her days until she died. Her gamble paid off, as after her death, they didn't find a new host, instead staying trapped inside her vault for many years. That is, until someone opened her vault. In a more modern era of history where knowledge of the Iridians have since long faded and megacorporations have come in and taken over, Typhon de Leon, the very first Vault Hunter, has since established his reputation and gone on many journeys of his own. He met a former Atlas researcher named Leda Calypso, and the two fell madly in love. She was extremely interested in the Iridian history and wanted to learn more about it, so she and Typhon set out on their own journey to uncover the fabled homeworld of Necrotafeo. Needless to say, they eventually came across the planet and began exploring it, where they uncovered its vault, Nereid's vault. When they opened it, a giant serpent emerged, which Typhon promptly killed, and as a celebratory act, they had sex inside the vault and conceived children. Leda became pregnant with twins, one boy and one girl. Their names would be Troy and Tyrene Calypso. Tyrene inherited Nereid's leech power. However, in an insanely rare circumstance, Troy did as well, only because he and his sister were conjoined twins. Troy was attached to Tyrene via his arm. He was the lesser developed sibling, always leeching sustenance off of his sister. So when she became a siren, part of that power also went to him, only in a technical sense, making him the first male siren. Eventually they were separated, though since the siren's power never belonged to him, he was always dying. But the powers allowed him to leech Tyrene to continuously stay alive. He was the true essence of a parasite. Tyrene also accidentally, at an early age, leeched their mother and killed her. By all stretches, it seems to have been a genuine accident. Typhon was very aware of what they were and tried to keep them best hidden from the world. However, as they grew up, it only made them feel caged and they wanted to break free. They eventually did so, and that's when they went to Pandora and formed the Children of the Vault. Tyrene, and by proxy Troy, used their powers to showcase themselves as gods who wanted to open the Great Vault, which is of course Pandora, so she could leech the Destroyer and become a god. But to do this, she had to charge Pandora's vault key, which was the moon Elpis. But she didn't have the strength for that yet, so she figured she would leech a ton of smaller vault monsters until she had the strength to charge Elpis. Of course, being in Borderlands 3, the Crimson Raiders would stand in her way, most notably Lilith. The two of them would eventually clash, with Tyrene emerging the victor. But instead of killing Lilith, she chose to play with her food and instead absorbed her powers while leaving her alive. That makes Tyreen one of the only sirens we know to have been in possession of multiple siren powers at once. In fact, the Leech seems to be the only siren able to theoretically hold every siren power possible in a single host. I don't want to say it's impossible for the others. We don't know if one siren can choose another siren as the inheritor of their powers upon death or what. The Leech is just very dangerous in this sense because in the wrong hands, they can become a menace. Anyway, with Lilith's powers, Tyreen would largely use it to teleport herself and others from location to location. All the while, she leeched as many people as possible trying to open Pandora. Inevitably, by the end of Borderlands 3, she does release the Destroyer and leech it, becoming the god she's always wanted to be, but while she absorbed an unkillable god, she herself is killable, making the hybrid between them killable. The Vault Hunters of the game defeat her, and her Siren Leech powers, presumably, go out to find a random host. I don't think she knew how to choose a successor, nor who it would be if she knew how anyway. Either way, the Leech is one of the most dangerous Siren abilities to have in existence. As for Troy, I'll get to him later. Our next Siren is Lilith, who is the only one we know to have been in possession of the Phase Walk. While her character has built up a persona around her Firehawk gimmick, lest we forget that's not her actual siren power. Phase walking, to the limited knowledge we know about it, allows Lilith to send her body to another dimension across space and time. She technically remains where she is when she does so and can move around the area, but in this state, she's nearly invincible. Her body doesn't just go invisible, nor does it just disappear. It has to go somewhere. Whatever is happening to her in this state affects everything around her, particularly when it comes to elements. Fire is, of course, her strongest elemental connection. Lilith, I think, is also one of the few sirens we've seen that has actually evolved as time has gone on. In the first Borderlands game, she was strictly limited to walking, but in Borderlands 2, she gains the ability to teleport, going from one location to the other in the blink of an eye. During multiple occasions, she grabs other characters and pulls them to a new location. At first, it might have been sloppy, but as time has gone on, she's become incredibly comfortable with it. This might have been the result of her iridium addiction, which enhanced her powers, but nevertheless, I believe her phase walking evolved in this game. Borderlands 3, I would say, does and doesn't have an evolution in Lilith's capabilities. To be fair, Lilith doesn't actually have siren powers for most of the game. As talked about, Tyreen, using her leeching siren power, steals Lilith's own and begins using it herself. Tyreen would go on to use the phase walking ability in many of the similar veins Lilith had before, mostly teleporting themselves and groups of enemies to locations. Outside of that, Tyreen doesn't seem to do much with Lilith's power at all. However, I think it brings up an interesting point in regards to siren powers because Tyreen is able to teleport with it. If that ability truly was an evolution in her siren powers, it functions much like a permanent unlock. So Tyreen wasn't set back and limited to normal phase walking. She had all of the powers Lilith had access to because Lilith evolved them. At the end of the game, when Tyreen is killed, the power returns to Lilith as she is still alive. Lilith does fly, which she's never done before, so that could also be seen as an evolution of her power, but Tannis also flies earlier in the game as well. Most Sirens' power do come with wings, or at the very least imagery that resembles wings. It's just that we've never really seen Sirens fly before 3, but maybe they were always capable of it. Anyway, the last thing Lilith uses her powers for is phase walking straight into Elpis to prevent it from crashing down onto the surface and destroying the planet. As things stand, it appears Lilith has gotten herself stuck in the other dimension her body travels to while phase walking. She's in a state of limbo, not easily found, but she's alive and her body is somewhere. Amara is another character who is the sole claimant of her power Phase Trance. Her Siren ability can be seen as one of the most developed powers that any of the Sirens possess. Continuing on the topic of Siren powers evolving, there is a vast array of different uses Amara can use her powers for. Firstly, Phase Trance allows her to manifest human features in a transparent aura-like projection. Being a hand-to-hand fighter, she largely manifests arms and fists to deliver stronger, more devastating blows. She's actually shown the capacity to summon a total of 6 arms at once. Not all of them are used for offense. Her projections are able to defend her from oncoming attacks, and she can summon a single arm to restrain a target in place. While arms seem to be her main wheelhouse, as said, it is any part of the human body, including the entire body. One of Amara's abilities is being able to send out an astral projection to ram against her targets. As you can tell, Amara can do a lot. As a trade-off, she's one of the few Sirens whose imagery doesn't come with wings, so she's likely unable to fly, at least for now. We don't know if her entire wheelhouse of abilities came from generations of Siren evolution, or if she personally trained so hard she unlocked all of these things by herself. Both seem viable. Angel is the daughter of the series' infamous antagonist, Handsome Jack. Angel's inheritance of the phase shift ability seems to have been that of the universe's random selection process. She got it out of the blue on a perfectly normal day when she was still a little child. Phase shift is the ability to manipulate technology to the Sirens' command. She can effectively communicate and control any machine to her desire, regardless of how little she knows about it. If it's technology, it may as well be a child's toy in this Siren's hand. In fact, as a child, she practiced.
No, it would be interesting. A character was like in OC, sent from Cyberpunk, sent into here, and getting a science power. That'd be a pretty interesting story, considering how would the Cyberware interact with the science power? How would the science power interact with the Cyberware? But yeah, there's all kinds of interesting stuff that could happen.
Mastered it by complete accident. Unfortunately for Angel, most of her life with this power was used by her father. When Angel accidentally killed her mother by phase shifting a machine gun, Jack locked her inside of a chamber and hooked her up to the Hyperion network where he was working, where he would use her to assist in his rise to power. She had access to the satellites, could observe and communicate with any echo recorder on her frequency, and she did. Throughout all of Jack's rise, she was there assisting him in his goals because she was being manipulated. Regardless of her confined state, her powers came natural to her, and not just her phase shifting, but her telepathy as well. She was able to telepathically communicate with the Vault Hunters in Borderlands 1 and guide them on their mission. Even when the Echo Net got brought down, she could still talk to them, but she lost her eyes in the sky. Either way, using the satellite, she was able to monitor them, and using her telepathy, she was able to talk to them. After the events of Borderlands 1, when Iridium broke its way through to the surface of the planet, Angel was used as a catalyst to charge the planet's vault key, as it goes on a 200-year cooldown. By pumping her system full of Iridium and supercharging her Siren powers, Jack was able to shorten the time span on the use of the planet's vault key. But as a result, Angel's life became dependent on the Iridium supply. Her body had been supplied for so long and by so much that it got used to the supercharged state that it was always in, so unhooking her would kill her. And of course, during the events of Borderlands 2, she switches sides to our main characters where she has them kill her by destroying the machine she's been hooked up to for most of her life. After her death, Angel's powers did in fact wind up finding a new host in Patricia Tannis. Now it's a mystery as to why Tannis was the successor to these powers. The games have yet to indicate that Angel had chosen Tannis to be the inheritor, or if it was by complete chance. I find the latter hard to believe because of all of the billions of life forms that exist in the universe. The chance of it just so happening to pick one of the characters already relevant to the story on the same planet where everything is taking place seems like an insurmountable coincidence. So mystery currently stands on why Tannis was the successor, but that doesn't negate the fact that she was. Tannis was actually very clever upon becoming a siren. Having interacted with Lilith, Maya, and being knowledgeable about Angel, she was more than aware of what she just became. So understanding the potential risk involved with being a rarity, she hid it. She covered up her tattoos and never used her powers in the public's eye. She did confide this secret to Lilith, and she helped her in any way that she could. Tannis trained and worked on mastering her powers in an underground doll mining facility where she would gain more than a decent grasp on her powers over technology. Her secret was well hidden for many years until she was captured by the Calypso twins and handed over to Pain and Terror. Before she was killed on their broadcast for the entertainment of their audience, Tannis was forced to reveal her siren nature to everyone as she destroyed the machine which threatened her life. Similar to Lilith, she too has the ability to fly with her siren wings. After this, she spends the majority of her time charging up the various vault keys that were brought to her, as they are technology and she can, in essence, vaguely understand them as if they were talking. And she's also the one who attempts to reactivate the machine. The machine is the device that Nereid used to seal the destroyer away. But now, since Tyreen has began reopening the cage using the moon, their best effort was to try and reuse the device once more. The machine is only functional via a siren's touch, which she is, and due to it being a type of technology, Tannis is able to understand how to use it as all the immense energy courses through her body while she functions as its conduit. Unfortunately, this plan fails when Tyreen comes in and destroys the piece that they're using, resulting in the destroyer breaking free, but for now, that's about as far as Tannis' siren usage goes. Our next main siren is none other than Maya, who is in possession of the Phase Lock. This ability is largely used to hold a singular target in place using a sphere of blue energy. Similar to Lilith, there is another dimension in play which prevents her targets from moving. It's actually within that dimension they're being trapped in. Amara's may be more of a brute force hold, while Maya's is more technical. However, Maya seems to be limited by the size of her targets. The larger the enemy, the less likely she is to be able to phase lock it. This doesn't seem to be a weakness in the power of the siren's ability, rather Maya's own inexperience or lack of power at the time. Like Lilith's, her powers have a strong connection to elements for whatever reason. But possibly one of the most interesting things about Maya's power is her ability to brainwash people. Her ability, aptly named Thought Lock, allows her to grab hold deeper than just their body and into their mind and how they function. She forces them to switch allegiances and turn on their allies, but only really did this while fighting. This is what I think makes Phase Lock much more powerful than Amara's Phase Grasp, because there's something more to it, making it much more complicated. Maya never exhibited this ability in Borderlands 3, but that doesn't mean it can't be used again. As far as her story goes, she was recognized as a siren when she was still a baby and brought to Athenas, where she was raised and trained by the monks there. However, by the time Maya was there, Athenas had become corrupted by greedy monks seeking power and money. The planet was still a siren hub world, and they did know what they were talking about, just some of them were corrupt now. So Maya grew up training her powers on a very short leash where she longed for adventure and excitement. When she was eventually old enough to recognize what some of these monks were doing, she executed her handler and went to Pandora to find out more about sirens. This would of course be where Borderlands 2 happens, and she doesn't really learn anything. She more so meets Lilith and makes a ton of acquaintances with the rest of the Crimson Raiders, but she didn't gain much knowledge about sirens. So after Borderlands 2, she returned to Athenas to serve as the planet's protector and clean up the place. She did learn a lot more upon her return and taking her siren studies more seriously, one of the most important being the tradition of passing on one's siren powers. This is relevant because she met a young orphan stowaway named Ava. Maya saw a lot of herself in Ava, particularly in her reckless and at the same time adventurous spirit. Maya was willing to help guide this lost girl the best she could to give her purpose and meaning to her life. She believed in her capacity to live up to the task, and so Ava became Maya's apprentice and began practicing all of the techniques she had learned and would one day pass down. But before we can get to Ava, Maya's phase locking ability did wind up in a different host with Troy Calypso. As mentioned in Tyrene's segment, being a leech himself, Troy too was in possession of a sliver of his sister's power, so he too was able to leech. And in Borderlands 3, Troy leeches Maya and kills her. Instead of finding a new host as the power is supposed to, the unique nature in which one siren, specifically the leech, kills another and absorbs them, prevented the phase lock ability to find a successor. Instead, it was stolen by Troy. This rejuvenated his withering lifespan as he was no longer dependent on his sister. The new siren power was sustaining him, so he was now free. With it, he began conducting his own experiments at the Anvil prison site. With the power, he was able to use it to infuse several prisoners with iridium and traces of his own phase locking ability to mutate them. These new super soldiers were known as the Anointed. Surprisingly, and I can't really explain why, the Anointed enemies are able to phase walk like Lilith. You'd expect them to bear a similar ability to Maya since it was her power, but for whatever reason they're able to, on a small scale, replicate Lilith's siren power. The main thing Troy would do with his power is attempt to charge Elpis, the moon of Pandora, as it's the planet's vault key. He's able to phase lock the moon and begin charging it, but only thanks to being hopped up on iridium like Angel was. Maya never really used iridium to supercharge her powers, so she never phase locked such a large object. But Troy's ability to do so is once again thanks to his leech powers. The leech is able to absorb as much iridium as they want without suffering any of the negative side effects that come with it thanks to their power. So Troy was able to supercharge his phase lock without any risk to himself. But his plans get interrupted when the Vault Hunters destroy his iridium supply, so then he starts leeching power off of Tyrene to finish the job. He gets so carried away with his power that he actually almost kills her. However, he is stopped and killed. The powers are then officially allowed to follow the true previous Siren's will and make their way to Ava, who uses the power to protect the others. Outside of this moment, Ava doesn't get too much of a chance to utilize her powers in any way. That is to say, the story doesn't do anything with her after this moment. Her powers seem to identically resemble Maya's, and that makes sense since she learned everything from her. This next group of sirens fall into the category of unknown. We know that they were sirens, but we don't know what powers they actually possessed. First was the ruler of Athenas, Queen Dido. While we never see her, she's a character who exists in the Typhon logs in Borderlands 3. Her appearance is detailed towards the end of her life, meaning she's described as having long gray hair, she was thin with bony fingers. At some point in the past, Athenas became a hub world dedicated to the history and study of sirens. Queen Dido ruled the planet as its siren about a generation or two before all of the games. Yet again, returning to this story is Typhon de Leon, the first Vault Hunter. During one of his many travels, he came to Athenas to see its vault. This, however, was outlawed under her rule, and he was captured and set to be executed. As a final request, he asked for a dance, for which Dido, for whatever reason, makes a move, grabs his butt, and kisses him. She and Typhon were boyfriend and girlfriend for the remaining 4 years of her life before she passed away of old age. Personally, I think the most logical power for her to have been in possession.
Didn't expect to hear that. Honestly, I kinda want to skip it. Yeah. I honestly thinking I was honestly going to watch this.
Yeah.
Oh no. Idiot.
Love you. Hope you have an awesome day. Oh my god, somebody just hit me. I got in a car wreck. Call you back. Okay?
Love you. Hope you have an awesome day. Oh my God! Somebody just hit me. I got in a car wreck. Call you back.
Alabama.
Back.
Huh? The fuck? Oh! Oh,
I was so close.
That's how you usually hide, you stupid idiot.
God.
What's the halibut think of this whole deal?
Oh! Oh! Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
Oh no. Oh, oh. That's how you get.
Sally is falling into some quicksand.
Oh.
Don't tape it!
No, I have to tape it.
Stop it!
Oh no.
We'll take the audio out later. See? That's working. Slowly.
Oh. 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 Wipe out. Oh. The fuck? Oh no. Oh. Ooh. Oh. No, it didn't work.
Oh my God!
Then so many people get so scared of that stuff. It's just a bird. Oh! Hit the camera, girl. Oh no. Oh no.
Bro, come on, cause I want next.
This at the Washington That was near the Washington Memorial. Oh. Is that supposed to? Oh. He done fucked up, Billy.
He ain't doing anything at all. Darrell, that's terrible. You should be helping. Mom, look at me. You ain't doing nothing.
You're doing jack shit, dude. Oh no.
You better not take my backpack. You gonna eat the bowl? Taylor, be careful. We're the experts.
Yeah, of course they say you hit the fucking it. Of course fucking Florida. Oh no. I remember this one. Oh. Hello. Oh. Oh. Hooray. Oh no. I'm
Fucking hurt, dude.
Oh shit. Oh no. Oh crap, sinkhole, sinkhole. Oh, ah. Ooh, back, no, bird burn. Bird burn. Or dash. Oh no. Oh. This is... Jesus Christ! The fuck you sending it for? Oh! Oh. After, oh, this one. That's
so this is my cat. His name is... Really? Really?
Yes!
Oh. Good way to split open the bag. Oh, no. Never mind, I forgot it was like that. Ooh. Oh. That's not how you fucking drive, dude. Is that where the grip comes from? Noise. Oh. Jesus Christ. Too steep of a ramp.
I can't sit back any further, Mom. My whole back's touching the seat.
Move over! Move over!
Mom, you're making it tighter and I can't breathe.
Jesus fucking Christ. How high is it to put on a belt? Yes, and it's armpit. It's supposed to be over your shoulder. It's a 3 point. So it's not supposed to be in the armpit. It's supposed to go over your shoulder. It's supposed to go in front of your chest and on your lap. Click it in. 1.2.3 point. Well, depending on what side, it's like 1.2.3 point. But he's trying to put on the wrong way. Right up. Yeah, he's trying to put it on the wrong way. You.
Something wrong with the seat belt.
You gotta yeah, we
Look.
gotta get through.
Put me in here.
Oh no. Jeep. I should have expected it as soon as I saw it was a Jeep.
Yeah, let's go!
Oh no.
Are you good?
Oh, go!
Oh no.
Good race, good race.
That is entertaining. If you made that big a mistake and was willing to do that bullshit, I would have just went across the class. Oh. Jesus. And then there goes the track. It spins it. Oh no. What did he do?
3, 2, 1.
Get it!
Oh! Are you okay?
That's close.
You are actually really.
Why does she have it? Why does she have it full spin? How does that work? How does that provide that spin? I don't think it's going fast enough to have it go that fast. Why is she having that full spin? I'd see if we could do any pitch, not spin. I'd try and do pitch and spin rolls and stuff.
really high.
Ooh.
Are you okay?
Talk about it. Oh no. He didn't just try and go over it. Ever just went over it.
What is going on?
And it's not a kayak. It's a canoe.
I mean, nothing like getting your stuff washed, but this is a little ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I wonder where the air take for that AC system is. That's the only reason why that's happening.
That right there gonna be good and some grease.
Oh. Oh. Fine. What the fuck are we thinking? It's snowy and it's getting. Yep. He's almost buzzed naked.
Jerry.
That's what you deserve. Of course. Mine, Miss Hall.
Watch out!
Ooh.
Hey! Hey!
That he almost did it. Oh. Nebraska. And that is Mexican as at least Mexican accent I heard.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Jesus Christ. Let me open the door of that real quick. Doesn't look like she opened it properly. It's completely full. There's pressure on it, so it should be a different release instead of opening it like that.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Lost a whole type of product.
Oh, so much volume, so fast. Oh man! Watch Mitchell.
The fact you did. Whoa! I was wondering why you did it on your bed. Oh. Oh no. Couldn't spit. Knew it!
Just spit at me!
I could tell in it's after she was just about to spit. Oh no.
Watch out.
Ooh! Why did you not think to launch a canoe like that?
Alexia.
Alexia.
Lex.
Alexis.
Lex there.
Alexis. Oh. Ah, I remember they do that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
Well, if that is not police, because if you're not police, that is illegal, yeah.
Oh, I just popped the tire.
Oh. Oh! It's fine. Lady, do you know how dirty that floor is?
Those are good.
Oh no. TICOG, I suspected that's going to happen. Not picking up base for the height of the COG. Oh, backed right off. Oh. Notice a problem. Didn't have low enough pressure, didn't have good enough traction, so the wheels are spinning on that. Oh! 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 Oh shit.
Oh my God! Josh, I swear to God!
Ooh. Oh!
Vita, get away.
Oh no. Of course it's Ohio. I don't know jack shit, but from here this should be expected. Oklahoma. Oh. Oh.
Beth and I are gonna go play bingo.
Alright.
Love you.
Love you.
Wanna go, do you?
No.
Bye.
Beth, I'm surprised she does.
Well, she got fried out.
Alright.
Thinking he's a good guy. He probably won't even bite you but one time.
Did you get it?
Nothing! Nothing! I'm looking everywhere!
Oh, right.
Nothing!
And the garbage can came out from.
Everywhere!
That was a bad idea, dude.
Alright, my phone's on my pocket. Ready? Here we go.
Oh no.
Oh my
Oh, flop.
God.
Ah.
Put your phone
Oh,
down.
no.
You're gonna break it.
Oh.
Yo, Joe!
How to die?
Oh. 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 Oh no. Okay, something else.
What's a home run?
What is it? Oh. Right, that car having trouble.
Go.
No.
There it goes.
Oh no.
Well, that sucks. At least it's not on my house.
It is from your property, but you're not liable for it. At least from my understanding, you shouldn't be liable.
Dude, I'm chilling. Oh my God, dude, are you okay? I'm fine, yeah, dude.
That probably hurt a lot though. Yeah. Usually birds will do that on trees, just scratch their back.
Tell him up! Tell him up!
Oh no. What hit him? Oh, I sent my. Oh, that bit. Okay, it's this video. Let me watch it now.
It's okay, it's okay.
Here. Oh my God, it's gonna get my soul. And then up here.
Yeah? Oh no. Oh!
Mr. Featherby! That is uncalled for.
Courtney. Get... There you go. Oh my God!
Oh no. I suspect something bad is gonna happen. Oh. If If there's a trained horse, what the fuck's wrong with it then?
That'd be funny if it fell out.
It's Rafi's kid though.
Oh my god! Oh, Jesus!
Oh no. Oh! Oh! That was a good save. Oh. Yeah, the best one I've had delivered. Oh no. Right back to, oh god. Oh. Oh. Virginia, oh.
This kiwi simply stuff is just so good.
Oh. I could tell that was going to happen. I could tell that was going to happen. Oh. Good
Not
job.
start the motor.
Wait a minute.
We're alright. We're alright. Calm down. Calm down.
Oh my god, it's going right under us, you guys. You guys.
It's alright.
To death right now.
Look at this, you guys. You'll never see this again.
It depends. If it's going to go right under, is it going to lift you? Oh. Yeah. Face plant. I knew it.
Hey Dylan,
Yeah.
can you look at this real quick?
Oh, one of these. Jesus
Can you look at this real quick?
Christ! Wait up.
What the heck? Oh my gosh.
Don't finish this fucking... Talking about rival. No, rival. Having one of these. Myself. Yeah, I know the power of these guns. Close range, they're pretty scary, actually. The power is. Yeah, even though it may be a basic bolt action, I've gotten pretty good at it, at least when I played. Especially I've gotten used to the specific one, just using my palm to do the mag release, which is like this orange button here, because I hold it. It uses pistol grip, and you can see my palm in operation. I can easily just shift my hand downwards. I can shift my hand downwards, drop the mag, grab it, put it away, grab a new one from my pocket, and shove it right in. I usually keep 4 extra mags. There's been a few games when I played that it's been handy, but usually the place I play is small and doesn't and just short rounds. These mags are 12 rounds, that's a 7 round default. Yeah. And I keep forgetting the placement. Because I really, really, really wished that I could place it here. Because I'm looking over here when I'm placing it in front of where the display is on OBS, which for you guys would be right here. But when I'm playing and stuff, you will not be able to see me unless I'm up like this. And you'd be able to barely see me unless I'm showing stuff like this to you. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I have to keep this. I have to keep it in front of my bed. Oh yeah, wrong place. With my reach, I'm able to reach stuff actually quite easily just from back here to my bed. Actually, let me see if this will be better. No. Maybe. I kinda like it laying with more. No. Okay. Which means when I lean back, I am a little more. No. What? Maybe I should do this. I am going to move like this. You know what? So what I'm going to do is I might just move the camera instead of being up top. It'd have to be on bottom. That might work for my idea. Maybe. Nah, it's weird. So I just want to try and experiment and see what I can do to fix my camera bottom, because I'm going to have to be like here in order for you guys to see me. So completely fine when I lean back or normal. But yeah. Oh yeah, this close you can see my eyes. Yeah. Because right now, I'm looking at myself actually. And then, chat is on the same area for me. So yeah. I'm right now looking at you. But I'm looking away from you. Looking at you. Because how it's arranged. If I had it the way I wanted it, I'd have it right here, right above here. Then, because this camera does not do side to side, which I'm very fucking annoyed about. Otherwise, I could do it like this. But that's insecure. The only way for me to do that fine is just I tape it down. Might be my best option actually. So open it up, get angle the way I want, then I can tape it down. Because I am now looking at you, chat, and you're barely looking at me. No, yeah, that might be my plan. Right, I'll be back. Sorry Stu, just gonna do this real quick because I want to get it done. I kind of have an idea of what I need to do. Because I'm gonna have to angle it and place the tape down. That's gonna be the only way I'd say. Oh yeah, this tape container is broken. So kind of finicky. There. There. So, lean all the way back and normal. That actually is a little bit better in my mind. Let me fix this real quick, and let me fix this up and down. Then, my next option, my next thing I need to do is I need to tape the back. I'm going to tape the back down. Then I'm going to secure. There. So that. Tape the back down. I'm going to run a few pieces of tape to secure the tape that I have there. Actually quite works. Oh well. Works quite well. You're securing both the back and front tape. In this case. Jesus. There. So tape secure, I'll be back in a moment. I'm back. Wrong one. Well, let's see how this new thing does. I mean, I'm forward, normal. Yeah, I like it. Actually, found nothing. Oh, ooh! You know, found nothing. OBS, considering I have it set up right now, I can see the video. Well, look at you guys. So yeah. We're good. Stop babbling. Yep. Oh.
Are you okay, honey?
Good job on ruining your automobile.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's a big one. That's a big one. No, Isaac, this way. To this island. No.
Wasn't going fast. Oh. Oh no.
Oh, dude!
You okay?
Yes!
Oh, jeez! You alright?
Nope, that's that video.
All good stories should have a beginning, a middle, and an end, unless that end involves John Marston dying, in which case they should stop at the middle and then just sort of ride around a horse in it, having a good time. There are some game endings, though, that not only draw the story to a conclusion, but are also so twisty, so mind-blowing, so unexpected that they changed everything we thought we knew about the game
Oh yeah.
up until that point. Obviously, seeing as we're going to be talking about the actual endings of games, there are some pretty major spoilers ahead, so do
She sounds like I've listened to this narrator before.
proceed at your own peril, but enjoy.
Well, narrator. I've heard her, not in this channel, but in a different channel. Of course, the Delta models.
I want you to forget anything you may have heard about the old locations. You know, some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company. That old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I want to reassure you, Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety.
With the wealth of quick-service pizza restaurants available to hungry consumers these days, you really need a unique selling point to help you stand out in the crowded market. Maybe you could design your own topping combinations, that's fun! Or your restaurant could be crammed with murderous animatronic animals who will kill you and stuff your mangled corpse into a mascot costume. Maybe not that. Sadly, it's the second option that Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria from Five Nights at Freddy's went with, as seen in the first game in the series, in which you play as a night security guard desperately trying not to be murdered by a host of terrifying robot personas. Throughout the game, you get voicemail messages from your predecessor which fill you in on the restaurant's backstory and hint at a bloody past.
They used to be allowed to walk around during the day, too, but then there was the bite of 87. Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know?
And it's clear the place has seen better days. It's filthy, the electronics are busted, and the animatronics would be gross and terrifying even if they weren't killing people. Which they are. That's why it's a relief when you start Five Nights at Freddy's 2 to discover that Freddy Fazbear's has been given a much-needed makeover and is having a grand reopening.
Hello? Hello? Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
The place looks a lot cleaner, the animatronics are in much better condition, and they've even been upgraded with new technology, so that's probably fine and nothing to worry about.
They've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics.
I don't understand why they have a powering in the games. FNAF. Honestly? I honestly think FNAF's powering is stupid. You have a whole electrical grid to rely on, but no! In life you have a electrical grid to rely on outside the place. But now in this game you have some kind of battery back or something that you only have power for. 100% you can easily drop that, apparently. I honestly think it's stupid to have the powering there. I'd instead of the powering, I would do it based upon the reactions, the animatronics, and all kinds of different stuff instead of the powering as a gimmick, restricting players.
Facial recognition, advanced mobility.
Except that it definitely is something to worry about, and the exact same thing happens again with you having to keep a watchful eye on the animatronics to make sure they don't bust into the room and jump scare you to death. Persevere, however, and you'll make it to the end of the titular 5th night at Freddy's, at which point you'll be awarded your paycheck.
Only $100.50. $100.50. I know it's the 1980s. I know it's 1987 there, but Jesus fucking Christ. $100.50 for the danger that's presented. Jesus.
Man, we really earned that. $100? The big news here, though, is that the check is dated 1987, and the reason that everything looks clean and new is that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is actually a prequel to the original game. It also means the events you've played through up to this point are all part of the bloody past that you were warned about in the first game, which is little comfort as you head into the game's 6th night and get your face bitten off. I know it's 1987, but still, $100 seems like not very much to have my frontal lobe bitten in half, Freddy.
Yeah, I know.
Make it $200, then we'll talk.
I was thinking more 300 with danger pay.
150, last offer.
I haven't played that game, I haven't even heard of it.
At first glance, 2008 indie platformer Braid looks like if the Super Mario Bros. Were freshman philosophy students, this being a game in which you alternate between reading thoughtful books about the nature of forgiveness and jumping on bad guys. Ah yes, drawing on the deontological ethics of Immanuel Kant, of course. The game's main hook, however, came in main character Tim's ability to manipulate time. Starting on stage 2 with the ability to rewind time, more and more time powers are added throughout the game as Tim carries out his quest to save a princess who has been snatched by what the game describes as a horrible and evil monster. More powers, and we learn about the relationship between Tim and the princess, a relationship that is slowly revealed to have been jealous, possessive, and overshadowed by an unspecified mistake that Tim had made. Tim, my dude, mistakes are what the rewind time button is for. What, you think I meant to get eaten by that plant? It is the final level, however, that turns everything on its head. For anyone who has played a Mario game, it starts out pretty familiar and straightforward. The princess escapes from the clutches of a brutish foe, she flees, and you follow underneath as she disables traps for you, trying to meet up with her so that you can ensure her safety. When you do finally catch up to her, though, everything changes. This is when you realise that in fact everything in the level except for you has been running in reverse. The princess is actually running away from you. She's setting the traps to try and slow you down, and the knight at the beginning who you thought had kidnapped her, he was waiting for her, ready to help her escape the horrible and evil monster, otherwise known as you. Stick that in your deontological ethics and smoke it. There are other interpretations of Braid's story, and its creator Jonathan Blow has even said that he couldn't explain the real story adequately in human words. But then that's the sort of thing he says all the time.
You know, making it was about, let me take my deepest flaws and vulnerabilities and put them in the game.
The point is that as rug pull endings go, this is an entire fitted carpet, and it completely reframes everything we'd done in the game up to this point to discover that the princess was just trying to get away from us the whole time. Mario never had to deal with any of this, we assume.
Yes. I remember if you're watching the got the twist at the end of this game.
Kept you waiting, huh?
In Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, you play as Venom Snake, aka Big Boss, the head of the Diamond Dogs private military corporation, who you'd have to think would be a lot more successful if they didn't spend all their time kidnapping people with balloons, maintaining a private zoo, and developing inflatable versions of their boss. The game's story is filled with the usual twists and turns you expect from a Kojima game, but the real bombshell comes right at the end. That's a metaphorical bombshell, there are plenty of real ones before that. Backtracking a little bit, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain was preceded by a prologue called Ground Zeroes, in which Snake has to infiltrate a black site called Camp Omega, and also Hideo Kojima is there.
What took you so long?
Things go pretty well, all things considered, right up until the end, at which point they go about as bad as it's possible to go, in that the helicopter Snake is attempting to leave in blows up. That's why you start Metal Gear Solid 5 in a hospital bed, and why you've lost an arm, but gained a big chunk of shrapnel sticking out of your forehead, both of which came as something of a surprise during the game's first mission, in which you escape the hospital with a mysterious bandaged stranger called Ishmael.
Who are you? Who am I? You're talking to yourself. Been watching over you for 9 years. You can call me Ishmael.
Get to the end of the game, though, and you realize that this whole time you haven't been playing as Big Boss at all.
What about him?
Yeah, took some shrapnel to the head.
Rather, you've been playing as one of his loyal medics who was injured in the same helicopter crash as the boss, who was then given plastic surgery and hypnotherapy while in a coma to allow the real Big Boss, who was disguised as Ishmael, to undertake some top-secret missions.
Now this one, he'll take your place. From here on, he's Snake.
Did you get all that? TLDR, you spend the whole game playing as a Snake impersonator rather than Snake himself, which is a pretty major mind to lay on the player, considering how much time we'd spent as the character up to that point. Man, it's not the same when I know it's supposed to be someone else.
Gentlemen, welcome to Dubai.
Yep. It's still dead.
Yet to be seen, Sergeant.
You got a lock on that transmission?
Yes, sir. About 800 yards away.
And we're 800 yards away from seeing who's more full of you or Intel.
At first glance, Spec Ops The Line appears to be the most generic military shooter imaginable, with its cover-based shooting, gung-ho action, and shaven-headed, cheekbony protagonist, Captain Martin Walker. He's even voiced by Nolan North, for goodness sake.
Dubai's running out of time, gentlemen. Let's move.
I can already hear the Mountain Dew DLC downloading in the background. Walker has been sent to a sandstormed ravaged Dubai to rescue one Colonel John Conrad, because this is a Heart of Darkness story, and it's important that you recognise the important themes, capital I, capital T, going on around you. As Walker and his squad struggle through the sand-swept palaces and shopping malls, he's forced to make tough decisions and brutal sacrifices as he uncovers the extent of the carnage and devastation that Conrad and his unit have left in their wake.
There is a line men like us have to cross.
It's a bad time, basically, but throughout you're trying to retain your humanity in the face of overwhelming odds and the one bit where the game forces you to use white phosphorus on a bunch of civilians. Thanks, game.
Right, the game forces you to use very P on civvies. Oh god.
finally, at the end of this heartbreaking slog, you make it to the tower where Conrad has holed up, only to make the shocking discovery that Conrad is con-dead and has been for ages. What's more, the reprehensible acts ascribed to Conrad and his troops throughout the game by Walker are, in fact, Walker's own doing.
You did this. No, you did. Your orders killed 47 innocent people.
This surprise twist recontextualizes the entire story as you realize that a lot of the things you saw weren't real.
What the hell happened? I don't know. He just stopped moving. Walker, snap out of it.
And also that your team were gradually becoming aware that you were losing your grip on reality.
He wouldn't listen. We didn't have a choice. He turned us into killers.
What you do with this new information is up to you, as the game has multiple possible endings, which range from shooting yourself in the head, surrendering to a passing patrol, or murdering everybody and wandering off into the desert.
We've heard shots. Is everything okay? Sergeant Roberts, what is going on?
Gentlemen, welcome to Dubai.
Starting to see why there was no Mountain Dew DLC, to be honest.
Oh yeah. He has an interesting arm.
Get down here, Merc.
Ooh, Cloud.
Final Fantasy VII is one of the most beloved games of all time, so when it was announced that Square Enix was working on a gorgeous big-budget remake, fans were beside themselves about being able to re-experience such iconic moments as Don Corneo's mansion, the fight against Sephiroth, and of course, the time you get into a squat contest with some rando. And when the first part of the Final Fantasy remake released this year, that's what fans mostly got. Obviously the squat contest made it in, that's a given.
Yeah. Who'd have thought it'd be this close?
As you play though, you start to notice that not everything is quite as you remember. It's not until the end of the game, however, that it becomes clear that the Final Fantasy VII remake isn't a remake at all, but rather a total reimagining of the story that changes everything you thought you knew about Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I did a watching video about this.
The biggest new mystery in the remake was the identity and purpose of the Whispers, wraith-like ghostly figures that look like baby Dementors and spend a lot of time hassling people in a very specific, yet totally mysterious way.
Perhaps best described as arbiters of fate.
We learn from a talking dog, because this is a Final Fantasy game, that fate exists, is a fixed state, and is the will of the very planet itself. The Whispers are drawn to people who attempt to alter the course of fate and make sure that they don't by dementoring them up. It becomes increasingly clear during the remake's final hours that the fate that the planet wants is the events of the original Final Fantasy VII, and any attempt by characters to have anything new or unexpected happen is thwarted, such as when Sephiroth kills Barret, something that absolutely didn't happen in the original game, and thanks to the Whispers, doesn't happen in this one either.
This death was not the one ordained for you by fate.
At the very end of the remake, Sephiroth cuts through the cloud of whispers that's keeping the timeline on the right track, and is now outside the bounds of the fate that the planet has in store for them all. Aerith creates a similar path for your party, and declares that this is the point of no return, the point where they turn off the path of the original game, and onto something different. So from here on out, it's not a remake, it's a new game entirely.
I kinda want to play this now, or at least watch it.
Concerned with alternate realities, different timelines, and is it just me, or is it getting a bit Kingdom Hearts up in here?
I guess maybe that's why I hesitated.
And yes, I know this seems like an extremely elaborate way of engineering it so that Aerith doesn't have to die, but is anyone complaining? I mean, apart from the entire Final Fantasy community on Reddit?
It's okay. We'll find a way.
They are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death.
Yep.
However, life is all about the struggle within this cycle.
If you want to talk about endings that recontextualize everything that came before them, and boy do we, then we need to talk about existential action RPG Nier Automata. In this game, you start out playing the lingerie enthusiast combat android named 2B, who is fighting an army of machines on behalf of humankind, which is nowhere to be seen, alongside your earnest android sidekick 9S, who is everywhere to be seen.
Better keep your guard up. I'm aware of how to fight.
After many hours, there comes a seemingly climactic boss fight, after which 9S becomes infected with a so-called logic virus, and 2B is forced to mercy strangle him.
If you don't know, it might sound...
Following the mercy strangling, 9S is dead, and it is sad. Not sad, cue the end credits.
I have played this game.
Because his consciousness has survived, and it is not sad, cue the end credits.
I've played this game, not completely. Because if I remember correctly, I'm on run 2. There's 5 runs you have to do in this game. Run, 2B, 2, 9S, 3, 2B, 4 and 5 is a mixture of both 9S and A2, if you know who those, what A2 is. It's actually interesting, especially considering each run is basically, each ending, there's 5 different endings through this game, basically. Endings 1 and 2, it's just covered by 9S and 2B. This moment, up until here. 3, third ending, ending C, is after this moment, chronologically, in the game series. It's pretty kind of sad. Endings D and E, or 4 and 5, is the very last 2 pair of endings. The difference between the endings, it depends on who you choose in the last moments of the game. And that's all I'm going to say. Because the last 2 endings, you play as 9S and A2. So yeah.
Wait a second, 2B!
I watched all this by playing it, so I can experience it myself. I need to get back into it, but yeah.
The trick here is that the ending of Nier Automata isn't actually the ending of Nier Automata. If you think you've enjoyed and understood the full story just because you've seen the credits roll once, then my friend, you are wronger than that robot opera singer.
Oh yeah, this boss, it's a pain in the ass.
Those look like corpses.
Anyway, you can complete your first playthrough of the game and receive what appears to be a resolution, but you've barely scratched the surface until you play through the game again and again.
This battle will likely have a great effect on the outcome of the war. 2B and I, our battle will continue for some time to come.
Night of the World. Honestly, Nier Automata has pretty good music. That's why I have it. Actually, I'm going to change it up real quick. So, Genshin, I am going to move this up top. And... yep.
But that's another story. For another day.
In this way, you will battle through variations of the campaign that let you see things through the, for some reason, blindfolded eyes of 9S.
Yeah, the beginning is very different as well.
And then experience events as a third android character by the name of A2.
What's that?
Proposal. Use pod fire to force him to stop.
With perseverance or sheer bloody-mindedness, on your 3rd time around, you will eventually unlock what is considered the true ending of the game. And you better hold on to something solid, because it's going to rock your world. In this true ending of the game, 9S and A2 lay down some earth-shattering revelations in an extended bout of real talk before a climactic final duel.
This tower is a giant cannon that's aimed at the human server on the moon.
In the final minutes of this game, 9S spills the tea. He confirms your suspicions that the human race for which the androids are supposedly fighting is already long dead and gone.
Humanity is extinct.
This means, among other things, that both sides of this conflict have been deceived into fighting an utterly pointless war for thousands of years.
The commander? Me? 2B? Sacrificial lambs. All of us.
Isn't that hilarious?
Doesn't it make you laugh?
You can tell.
But the real Shyamalan-style reveal is that protagonist 2B was actually an executioner android
2E.
secretly tasked with murdering 9S every time he got close to the terrible truth.
Yeah, it's hard on her.
Always.
Yeah, ends like this.
And murder him she did, over and over.
To be hated to keep killing you. It caused her so much pain.
Yeah.
The 9S type is a high-end model. They knew you'd discover the truth eventually. But the model designation 2B was just a cover.
2E.
The official designation is 2E.
Number 2 type E.
Number 2 type E. They were a special class of members designed to execute Yorha units.
A2 is of the same number. Same base model, from what I understand. The number represents a base model and the letter represents your designation, or what you're specialized in. For example, he's a Model 9, specialized in reconnaissance. That's why he's 9S. Reconnaissance and scouting missions. 9S. Scout. So yeah.
Not only that reveal, but we also find 9S was actually wise to this cycle of him always being murdered by his close companion 2B.
But you knew that, right, 9S?
What? Ah, yeah.
Shut up! Shut up!
All of which casts the preceding 40 hours of your experience in a strange new light. What with all the irritable small talk and eventual friendship taking place in a loop of inevitable murder against a backdrop of eternal war.
Better keep your guard up.
I'm aware of how to fight.
If all that seems a bit grim and nihilist, it is. But there remains the slim hope that our android heroes will break the cycle and you can stop playing Nier Automata.
However, the possibility of a different future also exists.
Ending. If I remember E, the best ending
A
of the
future
game.
is not given to you.
Yeah.
It is something you must take for yourself.
9S2B
I
and A2s. Oh,
am your brother.
No. No. That's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it.
The fuck is that? No, I'm just going to skip it. I don't know that. Actually,
better than regular endings because regular endings have to do boring things like conclude the story in a narratively satisfying way, whereas endings have to do boring things like conclude the story in a narratively satisfying way, whereas secret endings can just reveal that a dog was behind the events of Silent Hill 2. That's why developers love sneaking secret endings into their games that shed new light on the story, break the fourth wall, or even let you bypass the game entirely.
oh yeah, this ending in 6.
Discúlpame, Clara. Not my fight.
The scope in the yeah, that was Spanish. Even if I would have just taken, if I played it over and over, I would have understood that. I've taken Spanish 1 and 2 in high school. I know it's just recent, so yeah, disculpame, Claire. That means I'm sorry, Claire. If I didn't have that translation, it would mean I'm sorry, Claire. If I recognise that, and if I went back over that, I would have probably been able to eventually get it, or I would have had to type it in. But yeah.
As such, a secret ending is always worth seeing, and none more so than these 7 unbelievable
Yeah, Automata.
alternative outros.
Yeah. That is a pain in the butt to do. I tried that for my sister, because we both played it. She actually worked on it more than I did. She got to the point where she can get the best ending. You need to defeat every single name and letter that's in the credits in order to do it. Now, that's supposed to represent you actually fighting against the programming in the pods to continue with the elimination of all and Yorha. Of Yorha. If you complete that, you can get the best ending in the game. And there's a big twist in it as well.
Enjoy, but also beware spoilers ahead for the following games.
I played Cyberpunk. I've only done one of its endings though. Yeah. I can't wait, and I'm going to be pissed about the new update, man. Or the new DLC, man. Can't wait for it because it'd be fun to watch. And second of all, it'd be interesting seeing what add-ons. Second, the mods are going to be annoying to try and get working again and trying to make sure everything's updated. And I don't actually have the game. My brother has it. I Steam share it from his library. And that's why I don't use red mods, because I can't get the red mod DLC installed properly. I have to have the base game, which I only have it from his library, which means I don't actually have it. I have to actually buy the game in order to get the DLC. That DLC's free, but I have to buy the game, and it's still 60 fucking bucks. So yeah.
You really are a most singular individual. And to think, she wanted me to put you down. Lucky for you, I never throw away anything useful. Prepare the serum. Forgetting's not so bad. You've done it before.
If you haven't been paying attention to the Hitman series recently, it might surprise you to find out that it has a fantastically complicated plot that serves as a background to you shoving people into winemaking equipment. By the events of
the fuck? Those NPCs did not give a fuck.
Hitman 3, Agent 47 and his handler Diana have defected from the ICA assassin agency and are attempting to bring down a shadowy cabal of global elites known as Providence. Although to be fair, this is mostly achieved by shoving them into winemaking equipment. After several twists and turns, the final mission of Hitman 3 sees Agent 47 wake up on a train where he is to be injected with a memory-wiping serum that will allow Providence's intermediary, a man known as the Constant, to reprogram him back into being an assassin for Providence.
Okay, right now the serum erases long and short-term memory banks wholesale. But in a couple of cycles, we'll be able to isolate the effects to individual memories.
When you reach the Constant at the end of the train, two choices are presented to you. You can either kill him, which, in the absence of any winemaking equipment, you'll have to do with whatever you can find lying around. Or you can inject him with the serum, erasing his memory and non-lethally taking him out of the picture.
This is what it means to lose everything.
Wait long enough before choosing either option, however, and a third option opens up to you.
Second thoughts. Perhaps we understand each other after all.
Noticing your hesitation, the Constant asks if you wouldn't rather just inject yourself and go back to a life of uncomplicated hitmanning without having to worry about all these global conspiracies and cabals of shadowy elites. Take him up on the offer, and you get this secret ending in which 47 wakes up in a padded room, back in his old life as a cold-blooded assassin.
Wake up. Wake up, my friend. It's the dawn of a new day, and you have things to do.
Which exactly recreates the opening of the original Hitman, Codename 47.
Wake up, my friend. It's the dawn of a new day, and you have things to do.
Gotta say, 47 looks a lot better now. Probably all that serum.
Castillo's got, what, 300,000 troops? I count 6 burnt-out guerrillas, and you with a bullet to the leg.
You can shoot, so shoot.
Far Cry games are notorious for their secret shortcut endings, in which you can essentially skip the game entirely if you don't feel in the mood, which include one in Far Cry 4 where you just sit around and wait for Pagan Min to come back from running errands.
I sincerely apologize. We saw terrorists in the area and yada yada.
And the one in Far Cry 5 in which you decide to just not arrest Joseph Seed and everyone goes home.
We're leaving, Rob.
Arrest Joseph.
And yada yada.
And the one in Far Cry 5 in which you decide to just not arrest Joseph Seed and everyone goes home.
We're leaving, Rob.
Far Cry 6 continues this noble tradition with its secret shortcut ending, which you can unlock after the story mission Libertad Rises, which rewards you with your very own boat.
I keep my promises, Danny. You wanted a boat, you got a boat.
The idea is that you're being given a boat with which to sail back to America, but that your conscience will make you stay on Yara and keep fighting for the rebels to help liberate them from the oppression of the overbearing dictator Anton Castillo.
You're my best, Kiria. I can't promise you victory, I can't even promise you survival. What I can promise you is this. You are the lucky one.
If you prefer, though, you can just take this boat and power off out to sea, prompting a "sorry, not my fight" from your character Danny.
Discúlpame, Clara. Not my fight.
And then you get the ending, in which it is 3 months later, you're lounging on a beach, and according to a radio news report, the rebels were crushed and Castillo has tightened his grip on power.
It makes me think of Far Cry 3, that there. Because some openings of the Far Cry 3, you are literally on a beach just hanging around. Funny enough. I have the game. Actually should reinstall it soon, but yeah.
President Anton Castillo announced that Clara Garcia, the leader of the terrorist group Libertad, was killed by his special forces.
It is a nice beach though, so I think this still counts as a good ending.
Time is like a tide.
I think it's going to want to play Returnal. Watch it at least.
It pulls us.
In the sci-fi roguelike Returnal, you play as Celine, an Astra scout who gets trapped in a time loop because it came out in 2021 when all games had to be about time loops.
We alone must find meaning amidst the flow.
Returnal actually has a series of endings, each of which furthers the two main objectives of 1. Revealing more about the game's mysterious story, and 2. Making things even more confusing.
White Shadow. You were how I escape.
The first ending of Returnal, which you get for finally reaching the White Shadow signal in the Citadel, shows your character Celine being rescued, returning to Earth, and living out a long life touching plants and playing piano before eventually dying of old age, which is pretty nice, at least by the grim standards of Returnal. Except, like, that wasn't an ending at all. That was just a particularly long Returnal run, and now that you've died again, you're back on planet Time Loop. Welcome to Act 2.
No, I can't be here. I escaped.
When you do go bravely on to complete Act 2, you unlock the game's first actual ending, which concludes with Celine encountering a giant alien octopus and receiving this vision.
Is this what you wanted me to see?
In it, Celine is seen driving at night with a child in the back of her car. It's a nice normal scene, rudely interrupted by an astronaut, who wanders into the road and causes Celine to crash off a bridge and into a river. In her submerged and sinking car, Celine goes to free the child from their seat, but then gets got by a bunch of cloudy tentacles. As endings go, this one is less revealing than perhaps you were hoping for, but hey, if you soldier on and unlock the elusive secret ending, maybe everything will become clear. To find out, you will need to jump through a whole bunch of other hoops on subsequent Returnal playthroughs in order to recover a car key.
This will be the last time I return.
Reach the end of the game with the car key in your possession, and then you get the final secret ending in which you unlock the car you found mysteriously rusting away on this alien world. Then you're confronted by a pregnant, alien-looking skeleton in a wheelchair who apparently is, or represents, Celine's mother. In any case, she strangles you for a bit, and then you knock her down.
I told you to leave me alone.
In anything but the most literal possible interpretation of what the hell is going on, we can infer that Celine has issues with her mum, which, okay, but then it's straight on to a traumatic flashback or an alien time warp or some other kind of vision that reveals, whoa, it turns out you were somehow the astronaut on the bridge before the car crash. The interpretations supported by this still pretty baffling secret ending are many and varied, but one thing we can now be sure of is this. This crash, like my many, many deaths in Returnal, was 100% my own fault.
I'm leaving. Try and stop me.
In the excellent rogue...
It's designed to end.
Yeah, automatic.
Wait.
Just think. Come along in a landfill.
Then you tried to kill me.
See exactly what I mean. Trying to save your sorry hide now.
The premise of Cyberpunk 2077 is that you are a hired gun in a dystopian future where a cyber ghost lives inside your cyber brain. The good news is the ghost looks exactly like Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves is the person who's casted as a voice actor for Johnny Silverhand. Oh, and his memory counts of the assault on Arasaka HQ in Night City is wrong. If you don't know that.
The bad news is you can never make out with him. Truly a dystopia.
Know what? You're starting to remind me of me, 50 years back. Minus the charisma. An impressive.
The other bad news is you're going to die of having this jackass living in your head rent-free, unless you find a way of not doing that.
It seems you are running out of time.
Yeah,
that leads you eventually to this rooftop, where your various options for marching into one final decisive battle are laid out. And it's this decision that governs which ending of Cyberpunk 2077 you're gonna get.
You can let me do that.
I got the lone ending, one of the easier ones to get.
Or you can try Pan Am and her tarmac rats. But
so, when he said, I'll do that, that, if I remember correctly, is Don't Fear the Reaper ending. Or Fear the Reaper other ending.
Then their lives will weigh heavy on your soul. Or you take Arasaka's deal, but then...
I actually took Arasaka's deal. I took Arasaka's deal, then I went and fought everybody, or at least fought Nobu's force, because, yeah.
You'll have your own soul on your conscience.
If you can't bring yourself to make the decision, though, or if you just
yeah, then the suicide
space out while gazing at Johnny Keanu face, then after 5 minutes of awkwardly waiting around, he presents you with a secret alternative option.
Kinda tough deciding which of your friends get to die, isn't it? Good news is you got this one chum who's already dead. And he'd be honored to join you on a wild suicide run.
Don't feel cute.
Oh, also, by the way, whether or not Johnny will actually present you with this secret alternative option was determined several hours ago by you, unknowingly, during one specific conversation in one specific mission.
But let's say it was my real grave. What would you write?
If you said the wrong things in that conversation, you irretrievably flubbed your relationship with Johnny and locked off the secret ending, so good luck with not having done that. Choosing the secret option means you and Johnny go kick in the front door of the Corpo Pigs at Arasaka and storm the building alone, which isn't so much a clever plan as it is the hardest possible way to achieve your goals.
Suicide then.
If you do somehow pull it off, you wind up back in cyberspace to make one final decision about your future. Here, your options are sacrifice yourself and bequeath your body to Johnny, or leave Johnny to hang out in cyberspace with the AI that used to be his girlfriend.
This bridge leads deeper into cyberspace. Cross it and permanently sever the connection with your body. The path to your body passes through that mortal well.
Now, obviously all choices are fine and valid in this morally ambiguous tale of transhumanism, but also maybe you didn't come this far to give up your sweet cyborg bod and extensive jacket collection. In which case, congratulations! You've opted for the superior of the two possible secret endings by keeping your body.
Goodbye, and never stop fighting.
Flash forward and you've returned to Night City without Johnny, and yes, you are basically running out the clock in your still doomed body, but at least now you live in a penthouse with your chosen sweetie.
Morning.
And yes, your chosen sweetie is going to leave you because life be like that sometimes, but by way of consolation, you are at long last a true legend of Night City, and you do have a flying car.
Good morning, V.
Domain Navy.
Are you prepared for takeoff?
Also, in this, the most epic of possible cyberpunk endings, you get to go to space to do a space heist on the luxury space station resort, Crystal Palace. So you can check that one off your bucket list.
The final job. I should get wait for Cyberpunk Orion, or Project Orion, whatever it's called. The sequel to 2077. Can't wait for that, actually.
Of course, if you unknowingly messed up that specific conversation several hours earlier, then your actual ending will be just staring at Keanu Reeves' face forever, which I think we can all agree is the true best ending to Cyberpunk 2077. Look at those cheekbones.
I don't know what inside is. Last turn is off.
If you played Inside, you'll remember that the ending wasn't exactly what you would call straightforward on account of how you get absorbed into a horrible naked flesh katamari and go on a rampage through a laboratory. I added the music. Makes it more fun. If you'd rather your Inside ending were less...
When given the choice in a video game, we will usually choose to do the right thing.
For my head, this is kind of sad.
Like sparing this little sister in BioShock, even though if we were to eat her, we would get so much DNA-altering atom power. Ugh. Even though if we were to eat her, to do the right thing. Like sparing this little sister in BioShock, even though...
Thank you, mister.
Yeah, you're just lucky I had a big lunch. What could be more frustrating then than trying desperately to do the right thing only for the game to absolutely refuse to let you, forcing you into doing the wrong thing no matter how hard you struggle against it, and boy did we struggle. You know, like a little sister, full of delicious Adam.
Please! No, don't you!
Share our guilt and irritation then at the 7 times we tried to do the right thing, but the game didn't let us. Beware spoilers for the following games.
Portal, I played that. Last of Us, yeah. Part 2, yeah. Demon Souls. Oh, the, Detroit, yeah. Modern Warfare, I don't actually know about them.
The vital apparatus vent will deliver a weighted companion cube in 3, 2, 1.
It's no exaggeration to say that the relationship between the player of Portal and the game's weighted companion cube is a greater love story than Romeo and Juliet, and frankly is 1,000,000 times more tragic. This weighted cube encountered in the game's 17th test chamber is unvoiced and entirely inanimate, yet will become your very best friend in a short span of time with a 2-pronged emotional attack of 1, being invaluable in helping you solve puzzles, and 2, having little hearts on it.
The Enrichment Center reminds you that the weighted companion cube cannot speak. In the event that the weighted companion cube does speak, the Enrichment Center urges you to disregard its advice.
Which makes it all the more painful when GLaDOS, the robotic puppet master guiding you through these increasingly sadistic test chambers, insists the companion cube must be euthanized in an incinerator before you can proceed.
You did it. The weighted companion cube certainly brought you good luck. However, it cannot accompany you for the rest of the test and, unfortunately, must be euthanized. Please escort your companion cube to the Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator.
Now, developer Valve probably imagined this sequence in which you must burn the companion cube to be a brief gag, a dark but funny punchline to Test Chamber 17, in keeping with the game's tone, and giving GLaDOS a few more funny lines to be delivered with her trademark dispassion.
While it has been a faithful companion, your companion cube cannot accompany you through the rest of the test. If it could talk, and the Enrichment Center takes this opportunity to remind you that it cannot, it would tell you to go on without it because it would rather die in a fire than become a burden to you.
What developer Valve probably didn't imagine was this bit increasing Portal's total playtime by a good half hour at least, as players put progress on pause to scry every single polygon of Test Chamber 17, desperately seeking some hidden workaround or glitch that would let them progress without having to murder the beloved companion cube.
Destroy your companion cube or the testing cannot continue.
It's telling that this is one of the few points in the game where you're likely to start hearing GLaDOS's voice lines repeat, because no Portal player wants to melt down their best friend until they've made absolutely certain the game doesn't have some secret way of letting you not do that. Even once you realise there really is no sanctioned way to do the right thing and keep the companion cube safe, expect to find yourself trying all sorts of loopholes, like maybe we could die in its place?
Testing cannot continue until your companion cube has been incinerated.
Or perhaps the game's geometry will think the cube went in if we hold it just so.
You euthanized your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test subject on record. Congratulations.
Damn. Eat your heart out, Shakespeare.
Take me to her.
You don't have to worry about her anymore.
We'll
take care.
Don't worry.
This. I've watched
Let me see her, please.
both the games, and
you can't.
They did a problem.
She's being
with this
prepped
game.
for surgery.
In The Last of Us, you play as Joel Miller.
Part 2. They should have introduced the character from Part 2 and Part 1.
A man who has done plenty of ethically questionable things while surviving North America's zombie outbreak. One of the worst being him pushing Ellie in the water in The Last of Us Part 2. Oh my god, Joel, do you know how long it takes denim to dry out? Now she's got to walk about in wet jeans. Oh, you're the worst. Something that might just beat this is what he does in trying to save Ellie from certain death. See, Ellie is immune to the cordyceps brain infection that has wiped out most of the population, and so, in the first game, Joel is tasked with getting her safely to the Fireflies, who hope to use Ellie's immunity to find some kind of cure or vaccine. However, once at their hospital base, Joel discovers that Ellie will have to die in order for the Fireflies to get what they want.
The hell you mean surgery?
The doctors tell me the cordyceps, the growth inside her, is somehow mutated. It's why she's immune. Once they remove it, they'll be able to reverse engineer a vaccine. A vaccine.
But it grows all over the brain.
It does.
Yeah, her brain. She needs that, right? This isn't a decision the Fireflies are taking lightly, but Joel sees Ellie as the daughter he previously lost, and not wanting to lose yet another kid, he decides to ignore the bigger picture and break her out. This decision not only involves robbing the world of a life-saving vaccine, but also shooting and hacking his way through a bunch of people in a life-ending rampage.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and some stealthier kills too. I mean, I guess if you count that as stealthy. But at least these guys could somewhat defend themselves with all their firepower. This is not the case for the surgeon in the operating theatre, who, when you burst into the room, rushes to arm himself with a single scalpel.
I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save.
At this point, you'll probably want to take out your gun and fire a warning shot over this effectively unarmed man's shoulder to scare him away and... Ah. Damn. Yeah, sorry if you didn't want to kill one of the only living surgeons in the post-apocalypse, but there is no way around this guy except by shooting him dead. No matter how much you try to get around him or find an alternative solution, the game will not let you. Wow, didn't even flinch. And if you wait too long, well... The only way past the surgeon is to shoot him, and as said before, you cannot do this non-lethally. Even if you shoot him in his little toe, it'll still kill him, as if the bullet has ricocheted off the floor and directly into his heart. Look, if you can't survive having your toe shot off, you've got no place in the post-apocalypse.
I don't know what Demon Souls is.
Go forth, Galvi.
Demon Souls.
May you be unharmed.
I kind of want to play it now.
You'd have to be pretty naive to play Demon Souls expecting to have a good time. I mean, this is a game with a whole area called the Swamp of Sorrow, in the Valley of Defilement, where lives a boss who shoots bees at you out of a gun arm. That said, while you wouldn't expect this rock-hard sword and shield 'em up to be all sunshine and roses, you might not expect it to be desperately sad. And yet sadness is exactly what awaits anyone who ventures into the furthest recesses of the Valley of Defilement, because that's where you'll find a boss battle that's guaranteed to make you miserable and guilty, and there's absolutely no way around it no matter how hard you struggle. This is Maiden Astraea, a peaceful woman who, while technically the possessor of a demon soul, has come down here into the worst recesses of the Valley of Defilement to offer alms to the sick and needy. Something she explains in very reasonable terms as soon as you walk in a way that'll make you feel very bad for indulging your first instinct to start swinging your sword around.
Leave us, slayer of demons. This is a sanctuary for the lost and wretched.
Oops, sorry folks. I mean, you were all already pretty sick, at least.
Please, leave quietly.
In a radical departure from the game up until now, nothing is currently trying to kill you, and Astraea asks you so politely to be on your way in such pitiful tones that you may very well decide that actually it wouldn't be so bad to leave this lot alone. After all, they're not hurting anybody. If, however, after wrestling with your conscience and deciding to do the right thing and leave, you'll find the game has made that completely impossible, and that fog gate you strolled through so casually earlier is now totally impassable. So although it seems that you're being offered a choice to bypass this boss fight, in fact the game won't let you take the peaceful route at all, so you have no choice but to kill Astraea's faithful bodyguard, Garl Vinland, while apologising profusely. Sorry. Sorry. Having been denied the chance to spare her to defeat Maiden Astraea, you need only walk up and talk to her, at which point she'll end her own existence, making this perhaps the easiest boss fight in the game to win, but the hardest to live with.
You killed him, didn't you? Very well. I can no longer resist you. Do as you like. Take your precious demon soul.
Sorry.
What's the ruckus, boys?
Get back! We got a cursed creature in here!
Oh, yeah?
It's as big as a mule and as mean as a hellcat.
It looked like a lion to me. That's a dog in there.
A dog?
Now, if you'll excuse me.
Red Dead Redemption's Wild West is full of quirky characters, none quite so eccentric as circus performer Margaret.
What the devil are you looking at?
You find him with a bunch of empty cages and he asks you to find a bunch of missing animals to fill them with, namely some exotic beasts which have escaped from his care.
What escaped?
A priceless Ranjaniki tiger from the slopes of the Hindu Heights. A fantastic, elusive zebra from the plains of Ongo Bongo by the shores of the Limpopo. And a magnificent lion from the grasslands of Tanganyika.
So off you trot, literally, to round them all up. And when you find Margaret's zebra, it turns out to actually be a donkey with stripes painted on it.
What they done to you?
I think they've painted it to look like a zebra, Arthur. Plus, when you find the tiger, you find out that it's actually just a cougar with stripes painted on it. And it ate one of Margaret's lions, a dog in disguise.
Strappy ate King, Mr. Margaret. I saw her do it.
I always thought they got along.
Oh, she liked him just fine. She licked her chops and asked for seconds.
When he asks you to find his final lion, Margaret makes a real plea for you to bring it back to him unharmed, which shouldn't be too hard, bearing in mind it'll probably be a raccoon in a wig.
We're lately very short on lions, so I'd be very grateful. All kinds of grateful.
But when you find it, you discover that, alarmingly, this big cat is not another fake, but a real bona fide lion.
Sweet mother.
Well, Arthur, I was thinking more along the lines of, oh piss, it's a lion. Still, Margaret needs his lion, so we better not shoot it in case we kill it, and then Margaret doesn't have a show anymore, and... Oh, okay, then maybe just one shot in the paw to neutralise it? Poor thing's probably just scared. Ah, right. Right then. Maybe some shots around it to show you're serious? Yeah, no. Sorry, Margaret, but unlike the other animals we wrangled for you, I don't think we can get the lion back to you in one piece without it insta-killing Arthur here. Sadly, the only way to survive this encounter is by filling this lion's face with bullets, no matter how little you want to kill an endangered animal who has been trapped in captivity. I'm sorry, buddy. Still, we will treat your corpse with the respect it deserves, by hacking off part of it for a trophy. Again, I'm sorry. We just wanted to take a quiet pause out of respect.
Come on. Follow me. The little one can wait for us in the living room.
No, she always stays with me.
Of course. Right this way? Everything we need is in the basement.
Detroit Become Human is a game that gives the player a lot of power, like the power to determine the outcome of an android revolution, or getting to hear what it would sound like if Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob got too drunk to stand up by himself.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Take a bow, voice actor Clancy Brown. Detroit even gives you the power to do the opposite of what you're told. Like, for instance, if you don't want to be chasing down friendly android Kara in this scene, you can just stand still and the game will let her get away easily.
Oh, that's insane.
Language, Mr. Krabs. The game isn't always so graceful in letting you do what is clearly the right thing, however, and a prime example comes when the aforementioned Kara finds herself in the living room of suspicious weirdo Zlatko Andronikov, who wants her to come down to his basement so he can remove her tracking chip.
But first, we have to get rid of your tracker.
Tracker?
Yeah. All androids are fitted with a tracking device to locate them at all times.
See, at this point in the game, you, the player, know full well the trackers in deviant androids don't work, or else all those chapters you played as a cop trying to track down deviant androids would have been frankly a lot easier. Knowing this, the right thing to do is clearly to steer Kara and Alice, the kid she's protecting, as far AF as possible from Zlatko ASAP. Come through meaningful choices. How hard you try. Making the door you came in completely unopenable, and stopping you if you try and find another path that doesn't lead to what is so clearly going to be a murder basement.
So, actually, there's no reason to remove your tracker.
What? But you said that...
Yeah, people believe what they want. You deviants are so naive.
Oh look, it was a murder basement. Why does the game force you down here? Well, probably because it's too pleased with the upcoming sneak through the house to escape set piece to let you skip that.
Go fetch the little one. Right away, Zlatko.
Instead, Detroit Become Human prefers to send you on a funhouse tour round Zlatko's creepy residence, the owner now revealed to be obsessed with making twisted android modifications.
You must always obey the master. Oh yes.
On this grim tour, expect to meet his horrifying experiments, and an android polar bear in an unlockable cage. And an android polar bear in an unlockable cage. Meet his horrifying experiments, and an android polar bear in an unlockable cage. All the time sulking that if the game had offered you the choice to do what you knew was the right thing from the start, all this escaping nonsense could have been avoided. Worst of all, the bear doesn't even get to wreak a terrible vengeance on its cruel creator. Heads up, video game developers, if I unleash an android polar bear, I expect it to kill every character, and for that to be the good ending.
This man, Makarov, is fighting his own war and he has no rules, no boundaries. He doesn't flinch at torture, human trafficking, or genocide. He's not loyal to a flag or a country or any set of ideals. He trades blood for money. He's your new best friend.
You may very well recall the most notorious mission in bleak 2009 shoot-'em-up Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. The mission controversial enough to warrant a content notice when you start the game that offers to skip the mission unless you confirm you will not be offended by it. A warning that frankly would be more useful if it told you anything about the mission in question, but hey, Called No Russian, the mission has the player take part in a terrorist attack on an airport.
Yeah, this mission.
And in the spirit of trying to do better than Call of Duty in terms of content warnings, you're going to see a bit of that attack in this entry, so heads up.
Remember, no Russian.
In No Russian, you play the role of an undercover CIA operative, collaborating in the airport atrocity to get close to ringleader Makarov, a sacrifice that proves to be utterly pointless at the end of the mission when it turns out Makarov knew you were CIA all along.
You sent a strong message with this attack, Makarov.
That was no message. This is a message.
The Americans thought he could deceive us. When they find out why, all of Russia will cry for war.
Armed with this knowledge, and more importantly with a machine gun, the sensible course of action here is to clearly replay the mission, this time trying to do the right thing, i.e. finding a defensive position, then killing Makarov and his cronies as soon as you're able to pull the trigger, thus saving dozens of lives, including your own. But oh dear, the game won't let you do it, as Makarov quickly turns on you before a stern game over tells you blew your cover, which is especially annoying if by this point you know your cover is actually already blown. Moreover, with enough attempts, you'll realise the game has made Makarov himself invincible, able to withstand infinite bullets, which, I mean, at least is good intel to be able to bring back to the folks at Langley. Though you can't kill Makarov, perhaps you're thinking you could stay in the lift at the start, refusing to take part and robbing Makarov of the American corpse he needs at the end of the mission to spark an international crisis.
I have no patience for cowards.
But no dice. After a few minutes of this tactic, Makarov and pals will backtrack through the level just to kill you for a subtly different game over. As such, stopping Makarov right here is impossible no matter how hard you struggle, and the closest we could manage was going into the game's config file to turn off clipping so you can fly through walls. This also makes you invincible, so at least you can keep the unkillable Makarov distracted shooting at the ceiling like you're a lost pigeon that's just pooped on his best tactical vest.
Most likely I'm going to end the stream here, but I'm going to
Like
leave
a stop.
this here. No. I am going to end the stream, because I do want to go and do other stuff. Yeah, it's 3.5 hours long. Not bad. Sorry for not talking that, you know, I was just absorbing the information I was presenting. Every person that's going to watch this old video, whenever, if I get popular, just know, I don't have a lot of experience doing this kind of shit, to be honest. And honestly, my mic quality might not be the best. Apparently people say this is crappy mic quality, apparently. But, it looks fine for me. That one's fucking best though. Oh, and I'm glad I did that. I taped that there, even though you won't be able to move it anymore. I taped that there so it is pointing to where, literally, I'm basically looking right now at there, but my head's pointed there. And at this distance it's kind of pinned a bit to see if I'm actually looking at you guys. So yeah, that makes it way easier, in my opinion. I'm very, at least, better in the stream, whatever. Because I'm going to be looking towards your direction when I'm talking to you guys like this. And in reality, actually, in reality, when I'm looking at myself and talking, just honestly the best. Or looking at the chat in the replay. Oh, motherfucker, I need... Fuck it, one moment. Browser, YouTube chat. I'm going to add YouTube chat to the end here. Image type, so image 2. I'm just gonna move this still gonna have chat here. I'm going to save this. Well, goodbye everybody. Oh,